Chapter 181, Living in the Jurassic, Part 1. The aroma of the food wafted through the air, not only whetting everyone's appetite, but also attracting the attention of the dinosaurs. However, thanks to the protective cover, the dinosaurs couldn't break through. Even the massive Lianglong couldn't get in. Fortunately, Lianglong was a herbivore and didn't eat meat. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, on the other hand, tried various ways to get in but eventually knocked itself out. Ha! Everyone laughed heartily. "This Coke tastes good," Steve remarked after taking a sip. He found the taste unique, different from any Coca-Cola he had ever drunk. Simply put, it was unlike the usual Coca-Cola, which he found rather bland. "Not bad. This is the crystallization of wisdom across the Pacific Ocean," Duke said proudly. "Master, can I take one home with me?" "I want to raise a dinosaur," Jennifer asked eagerly. "No," Duke replied firmly. "Why not?" Jennifer pouted. "If you take it back, it will die. Unless you can simulate the climate characteristics of the Jurassic period, it won't survive long after you take it out," Duke explained with a sigh. "Then I will simulate it. My pet hospital has a big pet breeding room," Jennifer insisted. "Okay, but you can only bring small dinosaurs, no more than 1 meter in size," Duke conceded. "Oh." Jennifer was a bit disappointed. She had hoped to take a Tyrannosaurus home, but she realized it was unrealistic. Thanks to her druid affinity, dinosaurs naturally gravitated towards her. As the darling of nature, she could also understand the language of animals. This didn't mean she could understand their words, but she could sense their intentions, like what they wanted to do or eat. However, this ability wasn't suitable for large animals, as close movements could accidentally injure her. Victor, while tearing into a cow's leg, looked at the dinosaurs running around outside. "I suddenly realized that we're a bit foolish. We've come all the way to the Jurassic, so why aren't we roasting some dinosaurs to eat? Why are we grilling chicken wings here?" Everyone paused, considering his words. It did seem silly to be grilling beef, lamb chops, and chicken wings when they had authentic Jurassic game right outside. "Are you sure dinosaur meat is edible?" Duke asked curiously. Chicken flavor, right? Don't they say dinosaurs are the ancestors of birds?" Victor laughed. "Are you sure dinosaurs are edible and not poisonous?" Diana questioned. "Ah, is it poisonous?" Victor was taken aback. "Who knows?" Dr. Erskine shrugged, continuing to eat his chicken leg. "The scientific community has never been able to confirm whether dinosaurs had feathers or not, or if they had feathers first or later. Similarly, we don't know whether they are poisonous or not. Just like with a headless snake bone, you can't confirm whether it was a venomous snake or a non-venomous one," Dr. Erskine explained. "Hey, okay, my head is spinning," Victor scratched his head. "If we can't eat dinosaurs, the emperor crocodiles should be fine, right? They're all crocodiles, so it should be safe." Logan pointed to the large crocodile on the beach not far away. They were currently on the beach where Atlanta had met Mara and Sea King Arthur. "Well, that should be about the same. If you want a hunt game, go ahead and try it yourself. If you're capable, go out and hunt. If not, stay here," Duke said. "Okay." Victor stood up, swallowed the beef leg in 2 bites, and glanced at Logan. "How about it? Want to compete?" "Compete in what?" Logan asked. "Let's see who hunts the most game," Victor challenged. "Ha ha." Before Logan could respond, his daughter Laura became excited. "Compete, compete, add me!" Her mother quickly pulled her back. "Be honest with me." "Mom, you used your power on me again. Since Mom doesn't allow it, Dad, you must win. Beat Uncle Victor," Laura pleaded. "Ha ha," everyone laughed. "Since my precious daughter has a request, how can I refuse?" Logan laughed heartily. "Done." "Peg," Carter nudged Steve beside her. "Aren't you going?" "Don't be ridiculous. It's one thing to catch a velociraptor, but this is too much." Steve quickly shook his head. He was just a warrior who had reached the peak of human potential, but he was still only human. Looking at the pterosaurs flying in the sky, the Tyrannosaurus Rex in the distance, and the groups of slender-jawed creatures, it was clear this place was too dangerous. He wasn't pretending to be cowardly. He genuinely couldn't handle these creatures. If he had a gun, he might be confident enough to take on a T-Rex, but with his bare hands, no way. "Velociraptor, is this what you're talking about?" Duke manifested a creature over 3 meters long and about 1.5 meters tall, with sharp claws, the velociraptor from Jurassic World named Blue. Steve was startled. Instructor, you can't be serious? Is this a velociraptor? I know what a velociraptor looks like. It's about 2 meters long and weighs roughly the same as a medium to large dog. What kind of dragon is this? He looked at the sharp toe claw, which was as long as his hand. One swipe from that claw could disembowel him. Even though he had self-healing abilities beyond human limits, it wouldn't help if this thing got to his neck. In reality, a velociraptor is about the weight of a dog, scientifically named velociraptor, different from the fictional one in Jurassic Park, which is more similar to Deinonychus. Peggy Carter was speechless. This is the fictional dinosaur from the movie. Is that the Jurassic Park you mentioned? Yes, Duke suddenly pointed to the distance. I think we may not be in the Jurassic you learned about in your textbooks, but a highly similar world. In other words, what you learned in your textbooks is not comprehensive. Ah? Everyone turned their heads to look. What the? 3 blues? They looked just like the one in the movie, each about 4 meters long and standing 1.5 meters tall. The 3 blues were watching them warily. Of course, it's also possible that in the past 600 million years, new dinosaurs have evolved, Duke said. After all, there had never been a mass extinction event here, so it wasn't surprising that new dinosaurs had evolved in this completely closed world. In the end, 4 people went out to hunt: Victor, Logan, Samir, and Bucky. Hey brother, watch me. This time, I'm going to steal the spotlight from you, Bucky smiled triumphantly. Captain America shook his head. I gladly offer the protagonist role to you. He had seen Bucky's dragon arm in action and knew it was incredibly powerful. He couldn't match him with bare hands. You've changed, Steve. Where's the aggressive Steve who never gives up? Steve remained unmoved. Stop it. I think you can do it, Steve, Duke suddenly chuckled. But, instructor, Steve was struggling. He felt powerless against these creatures. It's okay. I can enhance your physical abilities to the same level as Bucky's, but only for an hour. As he spoke, Duke slapped the air, and a surge of power flowed into Steve. He felt an exhilarating rush, like he had just taken a powerful stimulant. Come on, Bucky. Bring it on. The 5 of them went out one after another, and Duke hurriedly patted Professor Erskine beside him. Quick, get the equipment. I want to broadcast this live. Immediately, Professor Erskine became instantly interested. End of this chapter. Chapter 182. I Live in the Jurassic, Part 2. The idea of a live broadcast wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision for Duke. He had carefully considered it before going ahead. After all, sometimes it's better to share experiences rather than face them alone. And he wasn't worried about mortals discovering this place. Finding the end of the world is an impossible task. Even if someone did manage to locate it, they wouldn't survive the sharp claws of millions of piranhas, even in the strongest submarine. Should they somehow withstand that, they would still have to navigate through violent thunderclouds under the sea. And if they managed to pass through the thunderclouds, the mosasaurs in the dark sea at the center of the earth would be waiting for them. Even if someone miraculously passed all these obstacles, they would face another challenge: returning. The thundercloud pillar is a one-way passage. You can come, but you can't go back. Even if a mad scientist came, obtained dinosaur genes, and turned himself into a dinosaur man, he would still be trapped here, destined to die of old age or be eaten by dinosaurs. Atlanta had decreed that no one could return from here. Besides Duke's portal, the only other way out was the Neptune Trident. Kidnapping a magician might seem like an option, but not just any magician could open a portal home. And that's not even considering the difficulty of the first 4 levels. Those who knew Duke's identity and had the ability to reach the dark sea at the center of the earth wouldn't risk being hunted by him just to cause trouble. To the strong, this place held no real value. It was merely a prehistoric era, suitable only for a vacation or a novelty. Only a few mad scientists might be interested, but they wouldn't make it here. Soon, a live video on YouTube lit up and quickly reached the upper limit of the live broadcast room, almost crashing the system. The YouTube live broadcast department had to quickly open a backup line to handle the traffic and prevent the live broadcast function from being overwhelmed. The name of the live broadcast room was undeniably attractive: Dharma God Duke Live Broadcast Room. Karazhan had always been shrouded in mystery. Countless adventurers flocked to New York just to break into Karazhan, but no warrior had ever succeeded. Despite this, thousands of people tried every month. Duke's reputation wasn't widely known, and few were aware of his existence. Diana and others kept it a secret, known only to a select few at the top of the pyramid. In New York, everyone knew of a big figure named Samir, who had been in Hell's Kitchen for 100 years. Behind Samir was Karazhan, and the owner of Karazhan was Duke. It wasn't until last year, in 2007, when a video of Duke beating Superman in Metropolis went viral, that the world learned of Duke. Governments worldwide were nervous, given that he was powerful enough to defeat Superman. Fortunately, it was later confirmed that Karazhan was a positive force, which eased their concerns. The Dharma God Duke live streaming room had very few live broadcasts, mostly managed by Professor Erskine. 100 years had passed, and the death of Professor Erskine had been resolved. Even if he walked the streets, he wouldn't be targeted by Hydra anymore. The super soldier serum was outdated, and there was no longer a need to fear it. Erskine's live broadcasts were rare and usually showcased his new research results. People knew that the Dharma God Duke live room was indeed in Karazhan and registered by Duke, the man who had beaten Superman. After 2 months of inactivity, the live room lit up again. This time, the title was even more intriguing. Duke, the God of Law live broadcast in the Jurassic period. The live broadcast room was bustling with activity, and tens of thousands of people rushed in the moment it went live. Many assumed it was another one of Dr. Erskine's research inventions. Although his inventions were often small, they were always valuable, and lucky viewers could win them, for free. This was why the room was so crowded. However, upon entering, they were surprised to see a group of people enjoying a barbecue. The scene was confusing at first, as it seemed to deviate from the usual scientific content, but excitement quickly replaced confusion when they recognized the God of Law Duke among the group. The world was abuzz. Since the live broadcast room's inception in 2007, this was Duke's first appearance. Dr. Erskine had been the one hosting the broadcasts until now. Finally, the deity himself had appeared. "Hello, YouTube friends. I can't believe there are more than 20 million people here," Duke exclaimed, scanning the number of viewers. He nearly choked on his Laoshan Coke. P.S. Laoshan Coke, remember to sponsor us. The viewers were immediately entertained. They had expected Duke, the one who defeated Superman, to be aloof and serious. Instead, they found him to be surprisingly down to earth. This was the real Duke, the God of Law, and not an imposter. Their doubts vanished when they saw Professor Erskine eating grilled pork chops in the background. It was indeed the real deal. "Master Duke is so interesting. Master Duke, I want to give you a monkey. This scenery is so beautiful. May I ask, where is this place?" "North of the Milky Way, I am the most beautiful." Duke nearly spat out his drink again at the comment. "My friend, what do you mean by Wu Yan is the most beautiful?" "Wow, Duke mentioned me. I want to live stream myself eating 3 pounds and 10 ounces of food. Get out of here. Just say 4 pounds. I'm more curious. Does he have Si Jinxiang? By the way, Mr. Duke is eating barbecue. Aren't you afraid he'll find you and kill you? Look, Professor Erskine is checking the IP address. You're done for." Erskine, who was typing away on his keyboard, wasn't actually checking IP addresses, but connecting to a drone. Brother Chixiang is offline. Haha, you can't escape being traced even if you go offline. My Yan is the most beautiful is an animation, super seminary. Don't you know? Another viewer explained enthusiastically. Super Seminary came out already? It's only the end of '08. It doesn't seem like a time traveler, Duke mused. Honey, do you know this animation? He asked. How would I know? Diana replied, rolling her eyes. Yes, I know, Laura raised her hand. I have a Chinese student who showed me this anime. It seems it only came out at the beginning of this year. Duke realized it was a false alarm. It wasn't a time traveler, just an animation that had been released earlier than expected. Given the advanced technological level of the Marvel world, it wasn't surprising. Great, man. The title of your live broadcast room is Duke, the God of Law live broadcast in the Jurassic period. Why is it called the Jurassic period? Someone asked. Duke took another sip of his Laotian Coke and smiled. That's a good question. He then turned the iPad around, revealing a pterosaur flying past on the screen. The live broadcast room fell silent for a moment. End of this chapter. Chapter 183, I Live in the Jurassic, 3. After a brief silence in the live broadcast room, it suddenly erupted with excitement. Whoa, is that a function pterosaur? No way. Of course not. Function pterosaurs lived in the late Cretaceous period. Duke clearly mentioned that this is the Jurassic period. I'm not talking about that. The function pterosaur has a wingspan of more than 11 meters, and it can reach up to 12 meters. But this pterosaur, although it looks similar, has a wingspan of at least 15 meters. Respect to the expert. Yes, respect to the expert. I just want to ask, how did you determine the wingspan is 15 meters from a brief video clip? It's not just a guess. I used the latest data and a calculator to compare the results. The error margin is less than 2%. Could it be a Hatzegopteryx? No, the wingspan of a Hatzegopteryx is around 12 meters, similar to that of the function pterosaur. Is it a new species? Look, is that a Tyrannosaurus rex? And velociraptors. Wait, is that a velociraptor? It looks different from the ones in Jurassic Park. It seems so. The velociraptors in Jurassic Park are fictional. The real velociraptor is not that big. It's a medium-sized dromaeosaur with an adult body length of about 2.07 meters and a hip height of about 0.5 meters. Another expert has joined the chat. Respect. Respect together. North of the Milky Way, I am the most beautiful. Brother, the most beautiful. Aren't you offline? These are all fake. Do you really believe them? What, fake? Have you forgotten? When Master Duke, the god of law, was in Metropolis, he conjured up an exact replica of Superman. These dinosaurs must have been conjured up similarly. Although I don't understand the principle, maybe this is the mystery of magic? Fake? Duke was laughing, not bothered by the doubts. It was expected. Don't listen to that guy's nonsense. Who is Duke? How could he conjure up a fake Jurassic period just for fun? He is a master of law. Do you think he would be so bored? But this is the Cretaceous, Jurassic period, the age of dinosaurs. How could it be real? I admit that Duke is very powerful, but no matter how powerful he is, it's impossible to go back to the Jurassic period, right? I believe that the god of law is very powerful, but this ability to travel through time and live broadcast it, that's impossible. A YouTube user named Jilly Yulan commented, indeed. Isn't this a high-tech product? Or is it really a prop from Jurassic Park? Spielberg, come out. The great director Spielberg was even more bewildered. How could it be a prop from Jurassic Park? When making the movie, they used props and special effects. The props were all dead, so how could this be real? But if this was a filmed video, Duke also interacted with fans in the live broadcast room just now, making it obvious that it was indeed a live broadcast. Is it really conjured up? Isn't that boring for a master of law? Just as he was guessing, his eyes suddenly widened. What? Cameron popped out? Pfft. Seeing Cameron's words, Spielberg laughed directly. Protest, Master Fashion. This is obviously plagiarizing my new work Avatar. There is evidence to show it. With that said, a link was sent. People who didn't know the truth clicked in and found out that it was a special effect of a scene. If you take a closer look, the Jurassic environment where Master Fashion is located is indeed very similar to the scenes in Avatar. Is it really plagiarism? Is it really an environment that Duke has greatly changed? But what is the meaning of such a live broadcast? Users in the live broadcast room were confused. A reminder in the live broadcast room. Ding. James Cameron was kicked out of the live broadcast room on suspicion of using it for promotional purposes. Duke had removed him. I vaguely remember that Cameron's filming of Avatar started in March 2005 and ended on April 3, 2007. Now that the shooting is over, all that remains is the intense post-production work on special effects. If I remember correctly, it should be released next year at the end of April. Suddenly coming across a place that was very similar to his movie, Cameron likely thought it was a good opportunity to cut out a small clip and use it for promotion. The live broadcast room became lively again, with everyone realizing that Cameron had deliberately used the platform to promote his movie. Spielberg couldn't help but laugh too. Cameron, who was kicked out of the live broadcast room, didn't think much of it. He wasn't afraid that Duke would really come after him. Anyway, his goal had been achieved, and the hype for Avatar would definitely increase. At a certain university, Kurt Connors, who was deeply engrossed in studying reptile regeneration systems and the biology of various reptiles, suddenly put down his work and stared at the live broadcast room. Maybe. There is what I want, but how can I get there? Meanwhile, at Camartage, Supreme Master, this is the Duke live broadcast room that has just been circulated on the internet, Mordo said, walking in with a tablet. Jurassic? The Ancient One took a look, curious. Is this real? I don't quite believe it. This could be an environment he created with magic. But how could he go to the Jurassic period? Can you tell if those dinosaurs are real or not? Mordo was very surprised. It should be true. The Ancient One glanced at him and nodded. Could it be that he really went to the Jurassic period? How is this possible? Mordo was dumbfounded. The Ancient One shook her head. No, if I'm not wrong, this should be a closed ecological world that has perfectly preserved the dinosaur period until today. This explanation seems reasonable, but this live broadcast, Mordo pondered. In an ancient closed world, how is there a signal for a live broadcast? That's not clear, but I believe he's managed it. The man. The Ancient One trailed off. Professor Erskine? Mordo asked. I know him. A great talent, the Ancient One replied. At the Security Council, Alexander Pierce was tracking down the IP address, trying to determine where the island was. He was also watching Duke's live broadcast room, and when he saw Captain America and Peggy Carter, who had become young again, he was in a bad mood. But after noticing the dinosaurs, he immediately realized a possibility. This place was definitely a treasure. If they could use dinosaur DNA to enhance humans, could they create more powerful dinosaur warriors? How about it? Did you find the address? Pierce asked. Sorry, sir, the IP address is 00.00.00. What? Useless. A bunch of useless people. Keep tracking it, Pierce ordered. Yes, sir, his subordinate replied. End of this chapter. Chapter 184, I Live in the Jurassic, Part 4. In Malibu, amidst the luxurious mansions, Tony Stark was in his workshop working on a new generation of steel armor, Mk2. This was not yet the iconic Mk3, often referred to as the Steel Lobster. Mk2 was the first armor Tony developed after his escape and return home. He had improved the power system and flight stability and strengthened the outer steel armor. However, the material was still not very advanced. It was made of steel, which made it heavy and unable to fly too high. In fact, it was so heavy that it once smashed through the ceiling. The iconic Iron Man armor, Mk3, would later use a gold titanium alloy, the same material used in military satellites. This would reduce the weight and prevent freezing. At this moment, Tony was still working on Mk2, and the armor had just been completed. He hadn't even had the chance to try it on yet. Pepper Potts walked in, holding the latest iPad. Tony, look at this, she said. What is it? Tony asked. It's a live video of your grandpa's brother, Pepper replied, clearly annoyed. Tony took the iPad with a dark expression. After just one glance, he was dumbfounded. Why didn't you take me there? Watch me invade your... His attempt to hack into the live stream was as fierce as a tiger, but it failed. The IP address was 000.000. What was going on? Frustrated, Tony decided to join the live broadcast chat. The users in the live room saw a new celebrity enter, Tony Stark. Hey, my grandpa's brother, why didn't you take me to Jurassic? Are you still my grandpa's brother? Tony exclaimed. Duke laughed. I didn't bring your father out, let alone your eldest grandson. That was a lot of information. Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, was already dead. How could Duke bring him out? It felt like Tony had overheard something secret. Okay, just wait for me, Tony said. Then a notification popped up. Tony Stark rewarded the aircraft carrier X-100. Duke was surprised. An aircraft carrier in this context was $10, meaning Tony had just rewarded him with $1,000. Of course, this small amount of money was nothing to Iron Man, especially after he had taken over Obadiah Stane's shares, doubling his worth. There had been quite a few rewards earlier, but Duke didn't make a living from them. Eldest grandson, what do you mean? Duke asked. Nothing, just showing that I have money, Tony replied. Duke was speechless. Then you should reward me with 10 million yuan. Do you think I'm stupid? It's fine if you don't take me to play. The 1,000,000 reward is to buy a dinosaur as a pet and bring it back to me later. Any dinosaur is fine, even a Fengshen pterosaur, Tony said. That's when the authorities stepped in. Mr. Duke, this is United Box. Please don't smuggle dinosaurs. It's a crime, they warned. Duke was speechless. Okay, now it's hunting time. The scene may be a little bloody, rated NC-17. Please do not watch if you are under the age of 17. The following game time begins, and the 5 of them will go in different directions and choose to hunt different creatures. The one with the heaviest weight will take the lead. Another reminder, Animal Protection Association and similar organizations, don't disturb. Duke put up a banner in the live broadcast room, golden yellow and shining on the screen. As for whether those under the age of 17 would be watching, that was beyond Duke's control. He had given the warning. What more could he do? The live broadcast screen instantly divided into 5 points, corresponding to Victor, Logan, Samir, Captain America, and Bucky. The users in the live broadcast room were in an uproar. Is that our boss? One user exclaimed. Yes, the big boss, another confirmed. This was obviously an employee of Victor's security company. Teacher? Another user questioned. Isn't this our university history professor Logan? It's really the professor, someone confirmed. Teacher, come on. These voices were definitely from Logan's students or university teachers who knew him. Boss, come on, we must beat them, another user encouraged. Boss, if you lose, I will ask for a rent reduction. I won't pay the shop tax. Haha, Heaven's Kitchen is the best. These voices undoubtedly belong to Samir's subordinates as well as the residents and merchants in Heaven's Kitchen. Crabty, is that Captain America? The captain is the most powerful. Come on, Captain, I love you, Captain. North of the Milky Way, Wuyan is the most beautiful. Get lost. I knew you would intervene. Please trace the IP address and eliminate this guy. Let's cut him down together. Fans of Captain America were unmistakable. As for Bucky, unfortunately, he had no fans. After all, who even remembers him? The 45-year-old guys have long since passed away. Start, Duke commanded, and the 5 of them dispersed in different directions. Victor aimed at the massive crocodile crawling by the sea. Logan turned and rushed northeast, his sharp, animalistic nose detecting a large target. In the sky, his target was the largest Fengshen pterosaur. Bucky had already set his sights on a distant Tyrannosaurus rex. As for Captain America, he had no specific target yet and cautiously moved southwest. He only had 1 hour before his strength would revert to its usual level. To be precise, he had just 10 minutes of peak performance, making the situation quite unfair for him. However, 5 or 10 minutes would suffice, as the fight would be brief, focusing on finding the largest prey. 5 drones followed them, each controlled by Professor Erskine. Made of adamantium, the drones were virtually indestructible, even against the teeth of a T-Rex. Equipped with cutting-edge high-tech weapons, they could shoot lasers to kill giant beasts if faced with invincible danger. In the live broadcast room, the audience was buzzing with excitement. The Animal Protection Association also got involved, but they didn't dare criticize Duke. After all, he was a magician capable of overpowering Superman. They condemned the inhumanity of the hunting competition, but their voices were quickly drowned out by countless others. Humane, my foot! The hunters aren't human, so who cares about inhumanity? As for animal protection, these are prehistoric creatures, not on your list. Protecting a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Do you want them to eat people? Even zoo tigers that eat people have to be shot. Damn, that guy is so powerful. Is that an emperor crocodile? This is clearly the Cretaceous period. Get out of here, it's true. No, that's a Deinosuchus, but it seems bigger. What's the difference? Emperor crocodiles existed in Africa during the early Cretaceous, with lengths of 8 to 13 meters and weights of 4 to 11 tons. Deinosuchus lived on the eastern coast of North America in the late Cretaceous, with lengths up to 10 meters. Both had similar lengths and weights, but the emperor crocodile had a long, thin mouth, while the Deinosuchus belonged to the alligator superfamily. The former was suited for fishing, while the latter hunted large creatures, similar to modern crocodiles, attacking dinosaurs or other land animals near the shore. Wow, the guy upstairs is super knowledgeable. Respect. At this moment, the live broadcast room erupted again. Wow, that guy is incredible. I don't know what it's called, but he actually wants to fight a Tyrannosaurus Rex. End of this chapter. Chapter 185, Logan was swallowed. Wow, that guy is incredible. I don't know what it's called, but he actually wants to fight a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The person in question is, of course, Bucky. The Tyrannosaurus Rex was hunting a Triceratops. The Triceratops' horns were not fully developed yet, so it posed little threat to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The massive predator knocked over the Triceratops with ease, and just as it was about to bite down, it noticed a little man running towards it. The huge eyeballs of the Tyrannosaurus Rex narrowed. Although it didn't understand what was happening, it felt a strong sense of provocation. Roar! The little thing dared to provoke it. It didn't know whether to laugh or be angry. In the studio, look, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is angry. Do you think this guy can win? I bet he can't even withstand a single bite from the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Shouldn't he be bitten into pieces? I really admire this guy. May God bless him. Wait, I think I remember who he is. Who? Captain America's comrade in arms, the brother he grew up with, and a member of the Captain's Roaring Commando, Sergeant Barnes. You've all seen his portrait in the Captain's Memorial, right? Oh, it's true when you say that. Yes, very much like him. But it's been more than 70 years. Why is he still so young? The Captain was frozen. Could it be that he was also frozen? Who knows, maybe. Hey, stop talking. Look, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is attacking. The barrage of comments on Bucky's side instantly quieted down. The Tyrannosaurus Rex roared, failing to scare away the little man in front of it, which made it even angrier. As the king of this island, it was embarrassing that it couldn't even scare a human. So, the Tyrannosaurus Rex raised its claws, kicked a few times, and took big strides to launch a death charge towards Bucky. That's right, a death charge! Bucky's left arm transformed into the arm of the red dragon, and the sharp claws gleamed with a piercing cold light. In the studio, damn, what the hell is that? A unicorn arm. Upstairs, this is obviously the arm of a dragon. Have you ever seen a dragon? Then have you ever seen a unicorn? Stop arguing upstairs. Look, Sergeant Barnes has also started to charge. Tyrannosaurus Rex versus Bucky, a two-way clash. The tiny brain of the Tyrannosaurus Rex didn't understand why the prey in front of it seemed to have changed. Was the arm always this color? Did it always look like this? Although it wasn't a fish and its memory lasted longer than 7 seconds, it still didn't understand. However, it instinctively sensed a sense of crisis. The Tyrannosaurus Rex bent down suddenly, turned its head sideways, and opened its mouth wide, trying to bite Bucky like a pincer. Bucky quickly dodged and then used the dragon's arm to grab the Tyrannosaurus Rex's left leg fiercely. The dragon's claws were extremely sharp, and with one swipe, they tore apart the Tyrannosaurus Rex's leg tendons. As a result, the cumbersome Tyrannosaurus Rex collapsed and hit the ground heavily, unable to stand up again. The drone remained stable, and it could be clearly seen in the live broadcast room that the ground trembled 3 times, almost knocking Barnes down. Roar! The Tyrannosaurus Rex roared in frustration, trying to stand up but failing. Its intact right leg kept kicking, as if it could get up and run away. Its 2 short arms flailed uselessly. Although the forelimbs of the Tyrannosaurus Rex appeared short, they were actually much larger than human legs, but they were still useless. Bucky stood on top of the Tyrannosaurus Rex in a victorious posture, raising his hands and roaring at the drone, as if announcing that Bucky was back. The Tyrannosaurus Rex tried countless times to get up and knock Bucky down, but all attempts failed. Its bloody mouth, fangs, and sharp teeth were useless at this time. The neck was too thick and too short to bite Bucky. The following picture is too graphic. Please do not. Warning, this content is not suitable for children under the age of 17. Bucky finally donned his gear, then raised his left arm violently and plunged it into the eye of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Blood splattered everywhere. The viewers in the live broadcast room gasped. The scene was indeed cruel and bloody, but also a little exciting. Killing dogs on the internet would definitely get you scolded, but here, a live broadcast of killing a Tyrannosaurus Rex had a completely different impact. Not only was it not criticized, but it also evoked a sense of primal thrill. After all, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was like a king in the age of dinosaurs, the real king. But this invincible king was killed by a human. Awesome. Strong enough. It was akin to the pride and honor of winning a championship. Then, the users in the live broadcast room witnessed an unbelievable scene. The eyes, ear holes, nostrils, and mouth of the Tyrannosaurus Rex spewed out flames more than 5 meters long. And then, the Tyrannosaurus Rex finally stopped moving, its head hitting the ground heavily with a resounding boom. The fans were stunned. Could Barnes's dragon hand really release flames? They could hardly believe it. Yeah, Bucky waved his fist excitedly and looked around. Samir was still chasing the pterosaur in the sky, unable to succeed in a short time. The others were still chasing their own prey. Although his kill was not necessarily the heaviest, he was the first to successfully hunt. Jumping off the ground, he grabbed the Tyrannosaurus Rex's tail and pulled it hard, but found it was a bit heavy. However, with enough strength, he managed to move it. He pulled it up and slowly made his way towards the barbecue camp. As for the Triceratops that had been knocked down by the Tyrannosaurus Rex, it had gotten up early and ran away whimpering, perhaps frightened by Bucky, fearing it would follow in the footsteps of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The studio was stunned again. "Can someone explain how heavy a Tyrannosaurus Rex is?" one user asked. "The ecological average is about 7.6 tons, and the maximum weight can reach 14.85 tons, another user replied. "Damn it, does that mean Barnes's strength is at least 10 tons? Someone exclaimed. "It's incredible." The live broadcast room suddenly exploded with comments. "Crab special! Oh no! Fuck, teacher, don't die!" "Professor Logan! Oh no!" In the barbecue camp, the silver foxes Carla and Laura were both terrified. In the live broadcast room, Logan, her husband, her father was actually swallowed. The picture was bloody again, even more NC-17 than Bucky slaughtering the Tyrannosaurus Rex. This was the event of being swallowed alive. It was enough to scare many people into having a heart attack. The director of YouTube's live broadcast room was also frightened and wanted to block the live broadcast, fearing that someone might really be scared into something bad, and he couldn't bear the responsibility. Not to mention children, even he, a fitness fanatic, had some heart problems. However, he didn't dare to offend Duke, the god of law. He was as frantic as an ant on a hot pan. No, he muttered. "Boss!" Kara begged. "Boss, is there a drone attack?" Professor Erskine asked, end of this chapter. Chapter 186, Encountering the Titan Python. "Boss, is there a drone attack?" Professor Erskine asked. Duke smiled. "Attack? Why? Do you think Logan is dead? How is it possible? He is immortal. In the early years, he even resisted a nuclear bomb. Just a little snake? Just keep a close eye on it. I believe Logan will rush out. Although Logan currently does not have the adamantium alloy, his bone claws have been magically transformed with magical energy. Like Bucky, they are modified with ruby crystal, giving them a similar effect. The bone claws have transformed into red dragon claws, no longer white, but crimson like magma. While they may not be as sharp as adamantium alloy claws, they are higher in toughness and destructive power, and can also burst into flames. The most important thing is that the red dragon already possesses a powerful life force, so Logan's self-healing power has improved significantly. It can be described as instant. He is also no longer poisoned by adamantium. So how could he be killed by a small snake? Oh, and it's worth mentioning that Tiger Victor was also transformed by a crystal, but his was a jet crystal. The Black Dragon family controls the power of the earth, and its defense is stronger. Brother Who's nails had turned black like ink, and so had his bones. Although the Black Dragon does not control vitality, it controls the earth, focusing more on strength and defense. Therefore, while Brother Who is more solid, he can also cast some earth-type magic. A little snake? If the person in front of her was not Duke, she would go up and bite him to death. That's a Titan python, not a baby snake. That's right, 10 minutes ago, Uncle Wolf encountered the Titan python. 10 minutes ago, in the live broadcast room. That's a big snake. Fake, is that a Titan python? The legendary Titan python? It seems so. Isn't this Jurassic? Are you new here upstairs? Most of these creatures are from the Cretaceous period. Fashion is deliberately talking about Jurassic Park. I'm not surprised at all by the Paleocene Titanoboa, but a little excited. I want to see the Titan Python fight the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Some said Tyrannosaurus Rex won, and some said Titan Python. I just want to know who won. I just want to know where the hell this island is. I really want to see it. In a certain university, Dr. Connors was also mad. I also want to know, where is this island? You really want to be dinosaur poo? Roll rough. Strange, I always feel that something is missing. North of the Milky Way, Wuyan is the most beautiful. Hey, this is much more comfortable. Logan's keen sense of smell made him aware of a giant beast resting in this direction. As his strength becomes stronger, so does his confidence. After a 20-minute walk, after chasing off numerous small dinosaur harassers, he finally found the breathing behemoth. But what surprised him was that in front of him was a giant black and blue python, about 20 meters high. A word came to his mind. Titan python. Titanoboa is the largest terrestrial carnivore on Earth in the Paleocene after the extinction of dinosaurs, and it once dominated the Earth for millions of years. The Titanoboa may exceed 15 meters in length, weigh more than 1,100 kilograms, and reach more than 1 meter in its thickest part. Logan didn't want to worry about why a Paleocene creature appeared on this island, because this island defies all rationality. The Titan python erected its huge head in an instant, and its body hovered like a hill, gradually dancing away. Logan versus Titan python. War is imminent. Logan's sharp claws have the power of fire, but unlike Bucky, who can breathe fire directly, he is more like a red-hot iron. Snakes are afraid of fire, but they are not afraid of heat. On the contrary, they like it very much. After all, they are cold-blooded. The Titan python in front of him is about 1.5 meters in diameter at its thickest. The Titan boa, just a meter away on average, could easily swallow its prey in one gulp. Like the previous Tyrannosaurus Rex, the Titan boa was keenly aware that it was being provoked. It swam its massive body swiftly down the tree trunk, aiming to strangle the little brat. Logan, not one to back down, slashed quickly with his claws, tearing bloody gashes into the approaching snake's body. Blood gushed out like a fountain. However, the Titan boa was enormous, and Logan found himself entangled despite his efforts. The giant python's strength increased exponentially after being injured, and Logan was sent flying by a powerful tail swipe. The Titan boa quickly caught up and tightly coiled around Logan, opening its mouth wide. With a whimper, it swallowed Logan whole. The snake's body became slightly thicker, indicating its successful meal. Duke, watching from a distance, was both excited and anxious. He had wondered what would happen if Logan were swallowed, and now it was happening right before his eyes. The live broadcast room became tense. Some viewers yelled that this was not a hunting broadcast but a murder broadcast. However, their yelling didn't last long. The Titan boa began to roll over in pain, twitching and curling up in various ways. It wanted to crush the swallowed Logan, but Logan's healing ability was too fast. As soon as one part of his body was crushed, it healed almost immediately. Logan's bone claws, filled with violent flame power, quickly cut through the Titan boa's body. The first thing to explode was the Titan boa's stomach. Logan continued to pierce and roll, finally tearing through the tough outer skin and standing up. The Titan boa straightened its neck, let out a final howl, and hit the ground heavily, motionless. Logan, standing like a hero, was covered in blood. The live broadcast room erupted in cheers, congratulating the hero. This battle was as thrilling as Bucky's fight with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, if not more so. Teacher, you're amazing. Teacher, I love you. I want to have your babies. Get lost, the teacher is married. Then, I'll be your lover. Logan's blood-soaked appearance perfectly concealed the terrifying sight of his skin being corroded by stomach acid. Otherwise, many viewers might have vomited. In less than a second, his corroded skin healed, leaving only the stench of the Titan boa's blood on his body. Oh, this smell is awful. I guess I need to take 10 baths, Logan muttered, wiping the blood from his face. He grabbed the Titan boa's tail and walked towards the barbecue area. At that moment, a large cloud of seawater fell from the sky, washing away the blood on Logan's body. He didn't know who was responsible, but it had to be a partner. Thanks, Logan called out. End of this chapter. Chapter 187, 23 tons is better than a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The live stream window had switched back to 3 views. Logan and Bucky had already caught their prey. leaving only the U.S. team, Samir and Victor, still in the hunt. Victor was in the midst of a fierce battle with a crocodile, a sight that had viewers' blood boiling with excitement. Meanwhile, the U.S. team was still searching for prey. Although he had encountered and killed many small dinosaurs, he had yet to find a large beast. Samir was chasing the largest Fanfiction pterosaur, but despite his skillful magic steps, he struggled to hit his target accurately. The air was filled with pterosaurs, seemingly led by the largest Fanfiction pterosaur. The game continued with tense anticipation. "Boss, how do you weigh this prey?" Bucky finally dragged the Tyrannosaurus back, panting heavily. Boss was Duke's exclusive title, used by Uncle Wolf and the others, and Bucky had adopted it as well. "Simple," Duke replied, wiping his mouth before revealing a massive electronic scale. The scale was more than double the size of the 30-meter Tyrannosaurus Rex. With a wave of his hand, the icy ground lifted the Tyrannosaurus Rex's body and placed it on the scale. The number lit up. 8.2. The live broadcast room erupted in astonishment. 8 tons! The 11-meter Tyrannosaurus Rex weighed 8 tons. It hadn't even reached its maximum size yet. It was still growing. "Ha, it seems that the heaviest prey is mine," Bucky said, laughing complacently despite being shocked by Duke's methods. 8.2 tons. I can almost taste the championship." "Don't be too sure," Duke cautioned, shaking his head. Bucky ran to the live broadcast screen and saw that the U.S. team was still searching for prey. He laughed. "I must win. The only real competition is probably Victor." In the distance, Victor was still battling the crocodile, which was much larger than Bucky's Tyrannosaurus Rex, a formidable competitor indeed. Duke also laughed. "Although I don't know who will win, I am certain who will lose." "Who?" everyone asked curiously. "Him." Duke pointed to the sky. "Samir?" they guessed. "My apprentice made a foolish choice. Although the largest Fanfiction pterosaur has a wingspan of 25 meters, it is the lightest, probably weighing less than 1,000 pounds. For a pterosaur to fly, it must be lightweight. Their bones are hollow, and although their wings are large, they are mostly patagium. The body is small, and the heaviest part is likely its skull," Duke explained, laughing. Everyone quickly realized the truth. Pterosaur skeletons are hollow, with more than 50% of their wings covered in broad patagium. The wing bones are also hollow, making them quite light. The actual Fanfiction pterosaur has an 11-meter wingspan and weighs about 500 kilograms. This one, with a 25-meter wingspan, would weigh around 1,000 kilograms. The fans in the live broadcast room laughed as well. The competition was about whose prey was heavier, not bigger. Samir was out of the running the moment he chose to hunt the Fanfiction pterosaur. From a distance, Logan was seen dragging the Titan python back, struggling even more than Bucky. He wasn't dragging it, but holding and pulling it. The Titan python was so thick that even its tail was too thick to grasp, forcing Logan to hold and drag it with both arms. "This guy is so heavy," he complained while dragging it. Duke didn't help until Logan dragged the Titan python to the electronic scale. When they placed it on the scale, the digital display read 8.2 "What?" Bucky's eyes bulged in disbelief. "This is impossible. How can the Titan python be so heavy? This is impossible." The live broadcast room buzzed with arguments. The average body length of the Titan python can reach 12 meters, and the weight exceeds 1 ton. This data is indeed incorrect. But this is not an ordinary Titan python. It's 20 meters long. Even if it is 20 meters, it should only weigh around 2 tons. Is there something wrong with the electronic scale? I don't think so. Do you want Mr. Logan to win? This is unscientific. Science? This island defies science entirely. That's true. Titan pythons lived in the same era as dinosaurs. It's not scientific at all. Maybe this isn't a Titan python. Could it have denser bones and muscles? It's possible, Duke sneered playfully. Are you doubting me? No, I just think it's strange for the Titan python to be so heavy, Bucky said, shrinking his neck subconsciously. Step on the scale, Duke ordered. Bucky slowly stepped onto the electronic scale, and the digital display read 260 pounds. The studio was dumbfounded again. 260 pounds? That's even more unscientific. He looks about 180 centimeters tall. How can he weigh 260 pounds without looking fat? Could it be that a muscular man doesn't show his figure? Don't forget, he transformed his arm into a dragon arm earlier. Right. The bone density of a dragon must be much heavier than that of a human. This is indeed the truth. Bucky walked down dejectedly. He had weighed himself when he woke up, and it was 260 pounds. The main reason is that the ruby crystal transformed his body, not only increasing its density, but also enhancing his muscles. So, even though he doesn't have the explosive muscles of a bodybuilder, his muscles alone are strong enough to withstand the blast of an iron rod. Therefore, it is not surprising that a handsome man of 180 centimeters weighs 236 pounds. Bucky glanced at Logan, depressed. Congratulations. Thanks, Luck. Logan smiled slightly. He never thought that this strange Titan python would be so heavy. No wonder he almost couldn't pull it earlier. An extraordinary Titan python. Boom! A black shadow fell from the sky, and everyone turned their heads to see a 25-meter Fengshen pterosaur crash down. Upon closer inspection, a large hole was pierced through its chest, but no blood flowed out. It was obvious that it had been hit by a flame bullet. Come on, let's see how heavy this is. Duke smiled and stood up. No, boss, you don't need to, Samir said, his expression embarrassed. He realized the problem after 5 or 6 minutes of chasing. But he didn't admit defeat. He fought hard with that pterosaur and insisted on a result. Haha, let's take a look. The Fengshen pterosaur was placed on the table. The digital display read 1,200 pounds, which is 1,088 catties. The live broadcast room became a sea of joy. Samir almost covered his face. At the beach, the battle between Victor and the crocodile had already been decided. Victor had won a complete victory without the slightest injury. His body was covered with thick black dragon scales, which the dinosaurs couldn't bite through. The reason why it took so much effort was mainly because the fearful crocodile was too strong, and if he wasn't careful, it would drill into the water. Additionally, the scales of the dinosaurs were not slippery, making it difficult to apply force. This wasted a lot of effort. Come on, let's see how heavy this thing is. Chapter 188, Captain America's Opponent. The digital display read, Victor waved his fist angrily. Oh, this is just a little bit. There were now 2 windows left in the live broadcast room. One showed the barbecue camp, and the other was following Captain America. Logan's Titan Python, Bucky's Tyrannosaurus Rex, Victor's Deinonychus, and Samir's Aeolian Pterosaur were all in pursuit. In the live broadcast room, bets were being placed. It's a bet! It's a bet! Bet on what beast Captain America will hunt in the end, the weight and the number. The one with the closest value will be rewarded with 100 million Y coins. All 3. Let's start the bet. Let's start the bet. Tony Stark announced enthusiastically. Is there a bigger prey in the age of dinosaurs? Someone asked. This is not necessarily the age of dinosaurs. Haven't you seen the Titan pythons? Those are creatures from the Paleocene, another replied. That's not a Titan python. It's a Titan super python, someone corrected. Duke chimed in. Why does it sound a bit insulting when translated into Chinese? Titan super, reckless. Sure enough, no one easily bet on the first one. They all bet on the second and third. This world was no longer a simple era of dinosaurs, and something unexpected could always pop up. The probability of betting on a specific beast was extremely low, far less than the probability of guessing the weight and ranking, and there were only 5 people in the ranking. Except for number 5, the other 4 were possible. Who told Samir to hunt a 1,200-pound Aeolian pterosaur? Any creature caught on the ground would be heavier than it, as long as it wasn't one of those slender-jawed dragons. No 4, no 1, number 2. Then I'll say number 3. Tony Stark continued. Okay, these are the only ones with the highest rankings. Only those who guess the second best can win the prize. As for guessing the weight, if 2 values that are close to each other are equal, then the first one will be used. 8.2T, 6.2T, 6.21T, 4.666T, 3.1234T, 5.865T. Peggy Carter was very worried. Hurry up, the time is almost up. It had been 30 minutes, and they couldn't go any further because the way back would become extremely difficult. Except for the 10 minutes of the battle, the U.S. team only had 20 minutes to get back. Then he had a 10-minute journey, and his strength had decayed to the limit of normal human beings. This was not good for him. Once he was in danger, she feared the worst. Even with drones, Peggy Carter worried. In a building of S Shield, the country bumpkin was also watching the live broadcast. "What do you think the captain will catch?" he asked. "Horse," said Maria Hill. "Horse?" The country bumpkin didn't know much about the history of horses. When was the first horse born? But he remembered that the earliest horse was only 30 centimeters and the size of a rabbit. Why is it a horse? Because the captain joined the army in 1943. According to the Oriental Zodiac, it is the year of the horse, Maria Hill explained matter-of-factly. The country bumpkin was a little speechless, but the assistant still had such a cute side. He quickly checked. "Why isn't it a snake? He was born in 1918. "Logan has caught the snake," Maria Hill said. "What about monkeys? Giant apes are also monkeys. Captain defeated Red Skull in 1945. Maria Hill suddenly said, "Why don't you bet on a pig? This year, 2008, the captain was dug out. It's the year of the pig." The country bumpkin was very speechless. "I just said that. You really took it seriously," but he still typed it in the live broadcast room. The live broadcast room was stunned. Someone bet on the beast they hunted? But what the hell is a wild boar? The giant pig family lived in the Eocene. Although some of them are as tall as 2 meters at the shoulder, they weigh no more than a ton, a biological expert explained in the live broadcast room. "Look, the captain is going back. Hey, the captain is out of luck. This direction is full of small and medium-sized creatures." Before the man finished speaking, a huge black shadow appeared in front of the camera. "Damn, what is this?" Brother was taken aback. "Is there an explanation from the boss?" "Yes, the boss is here." "Where?" "My name is Big Brother." "Roll. Here comes the real boss." From the appearance, it should be the platytooth rhinoceros, an extinct giant rhino that lived in the Pleistocene. The height at the shoulder is about 3.5 meters, the longest body length can exceed 8 meters, and the heaviest weight exceeds 8 tons. The average weight is more than 5 tons. There is a 2-meter-long horn on the forehead, and it is the largest horned rhino ever. Pleistocene, about 2.6 million years ago to 11,700 years ago. Really impressive, boss. Looking at this comparison, I'm afraid the body length must be 6 or 7 meters. No way, that horn, it's almost 2 meters. I feel it's taller than the captain. Oh no, the captain has encountered a powerful enemy. Ah! Come on, Captain. Come on, Captain. Seeing a massive creature appear, the hillbilly Luden glanced at the assistant speechlessly, missing one of them. Maria Hill rolled her eyes. Who would have thought that there would be a platytooth rhinoceros on an island apparently from the age of dinosaurs? But this rhinoceros... Obviously, this is not a platytooth rhinoceros, it just looks like it. The platytooth rhino had thick fur, but the one in front of them resembled a modern rhinoceros. Seeing this enormous creature appear, Peggy Carter suddenly became nervous, secretly resenting that Steve should not have been let out. The rhinoceros was eating grass when suddenly a creature it had never seen before broke into its territory. Its eyes froze, and it charged out screaming. Relying on its 2-meter-long horns and thick-skinned body, it wasn't even afraid of Tyrannosaurus rex. Tyrannosaurus rex didn't dare to provoke the rhinoceros. The 2-meter horns were enough to send them running. Captain America was stunned for a moment, not expecting this gigantic rhino to be so belligerent. He quickly hid aside. The platytooth rhinoceros failed to pierce Captain America, and its galloping footsteps stopped. It gradually turned around and charged again. Captain America was frustrated. This thing seemed impossible to fight. Its skin was too thick, and the only weakness was the head. There was a big tree in the distance. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration struck him, and Captain America started to run, with the rhino in hot pursuit, as if chasing a prodigal daughter-in-law. Captain America ran all the way up, pedaling and running up the tree trunk. At this time, the rhinoceros also ran into it, hitting its head on the tree. It was a little dizzy. At this moment, Captain America flipped back and landed firmly on the thick neck of the rhinoceros. Holding the rhinoceros horn firmly with one hand, he punched heavily with the other, hitting its head hard. With 10 tons of strength, the continuous heavy punches directly smashed the platytooth rhinoceros. Of course, after a short beep, it also inspired the blood of the rhinoceros. Unable to get rid of Captain America, it took a few steps back suddenly and then slammed into the tree trunk. Boom, boom, boom. Captain America also became ruthless, no longer hitting the head of the rhinoceros, but wrapping his arms around the huge rhino horn and smashing it hard. Click. Ah! There was a shrill scream. End of this chapter. Chapter 189, Tomorrow's Live. Salt-baked Tyrannosaurus Rex. The position of the rhino horn on the plate-toothed rhinoceros is roughly equivalent to the forehead of a human. It is a piece of hyperplastic bone covered by a tough cuticle. With great force, Captain America broke the rhino horn, and along with it, the frontal bone of the face. The result was a gruesome scene, with the contents spilling out all at once. The plate-toothed rhinoceros fell heavily to the ground, undeniably dead. The picture was extremely bloody. Captain America couldn't make it back in time. It took him 15 minutes to kill the rhinoceros, and 45 points were deducted. There was no way to make up for it in 15 minutes. However, Duke didn't test their ability to run and directly opened a portal. Captain America was stunned for a moment, dragging one of plate-toothed rhinoceros's legs with one hand and holding its nearly 2-meter-long horn with the other, slowly walking into the portal. They weighed the beast, and the digital display read 6.6. Yeah, I won. A YouTube user named Please Stay jumped up excitedly. He had bet 100 million Y coins at odds of 1 to 10, meaning he won 10 million US dollars. The key point is that these Y coins can be withdrawn. Although half of them are distributed to the platform, that still leaves him with 5 million US dollars. Another user, Leaves That Night, also won, having guessed the ranking correctly, number 4. Congratulations to these two lucky winners. Each will receive an additional 100 Y coins, Tony Stark announced generously. After all, 20 US dollars is nothing to him. Ding account notification. Yeah, the two hurried to withdraw their cash. After all, YouTube accounts can be hacked, and the safest money is in the bank. Duke smiled and stood up. Then the number 1 decision has come out, Champion Logan. Oh, long live the teacher. Teacher, I love you. Teacher, I want your autograph. Teacher, I want snake meat. North of the Milky Way, Wuyan is the most beautiful. Press the dog's head upstairs and take my big knife. Then tell me your wish, Logan, Duke said with a smile. I wish? Logan subconsciously glanced at his wife, the silver fox Kara. Just as he was about to speak, Duke interrupted. Okay, we'll talk about this after the broadcast. Now it's time for the shirtless segment. Dear Mara, thank you for your hard work. Me? Mara's appearance once again shocked the live broadcast room, and countless users announced that they would contract this young lady and this Tuanzame. Drain their blood dry, I believe you can. Mara walked over and hung her hand over the giant beast's wound. Strands of blood were drawn out, forming a gradually expanding blood cell in midair. The giant beast shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, the blood cell became 5 meters in diameter, and she threw it into the sea, instantly dyeing the surface red. Fortunately, I did not disgrace life. It was her first time performing such a delicate task, and Mara was a little overdrawn, almost falling due to her unsteady steps. Fortunately, Duke caught her. Then, a pair of sharp gazes came from behind, from a certain heroine. Duke. I am too difficult. Take a break first. Duke hurriedly stroked Mara and leaned her aside, while he himself went out to clean up the corpse of the giant beast. Let's eat this Titan python when we come down? No matter what he does, Duke goes first. A 5-meter ice skate was condensed in his hand, and with one swift motion, the snake's head was severed. It seems that this can be used as a specimen. After freezing it, he threw it into the space bag. He then proceeded to skin the snake, remove its viscera and claws, and tear off the thick fat and oil. The whole Titan python lost a quarter of its weight in an instant, mainly due to the removed fat. This is the advantage of wild animals. They have less fat compared to those that are raised, which would lose at least half of their weight. Finally, he removed the bones. In the end, about 2 tons of snake meat remained. He cut it into sections, ready for the next step. After an hour of marinating, the snake meat was placed on the grill. Half an hour later, it was golden brown, shiny and oily, with juices dripping down, making it incredibly appetizing. The live broadcast room exploded with comments. Where can we get snake meat like this? I'm starving. You can order takeout if you're hungry. I don't even have that option here. Damn it. Master Chef, please mail me some grilled Titan snake meat. Wow, that looks amazing. Duke ignored the comments. He knew they were just envious of the food. It seemed he had the makings of a food anchor. He deliberately picked the fattest, most attractive snake and handed it to Diana. Honey, please enjoy, he said. Diana rolled her eyes but took the meat. Well, it's pretty good. Your satisfaction is my motivation, Duke replied with a grin. Mara also rolled her eyes, speechless. Come on, don't just eat it all yourself. Give me some too, Tony Stark commented, swiping the screen. 2 tons of snake meat had shrunk to about 1.5 tons after roasting, so it was destined to be more than enough. All right, Duke opened a portal, threw dozens of kilograms of snake meat through it, and quickly closed the door. Tony Stark stared at the golden snake meat in front of him. Damn it, I forgot to go directly. Oh well. Over there, Pepper had already started eating. Hey, don't say it, this tastes really good. Happy, Tony called out. Boss? Happy responded. Come up and eat some snake. It was impossible to finish dozens of pounds of snake meat alone. Fortunately, Happy, the big eater, was called up. The 3 of them worked hard to finish it. The snake meat had to be eaten clean, otherwise its DNA might be extracted by bad people. Tony understood the danger, so he digested it quickly. Really, I'm coming right away, Happy said, having been watching the live broadcast. He never thought Tony would actually send the Titan snake meat, so he hurried to join in. Soon, Tony shared a video of himself eating the golden Titan python meat on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Duke not only gave Tony a share, but also sent some to Gu Yi and X Academy. These 2 were more interested in eating the meat than studying its DNA. But even so, there was still a ton of meat left. Professor, is there a way to destroy DNA? Someone asked. Yes, Professor Erskine replied while eating. When I decomposed the crystal, I accidentally obtained a liquid that is not poisonous, but can destroy DNA's double helix structure completely. Can it be recovered? Absolutely not, Dr. Erskine shook his head. Moreover, the crystal liquid is more pervasive than mercury. Just 1 drop can destroy the DNA of an adult man within 5 minutes. NYPD, please, Dr. Erskine, do not sell this investigation-impeding fluid. Professor. All right, we will draw 200 lucky viewers later, and each will receive 20 pounds of barbecued Titan python meat. Lucky fans, please leave an accurate delivery address in the mailbox. The snake meat will be frozen, so rest assured it will not spoil. It will be shipped within a week. Okay, today's live broadcast is over. Tomorrow, we will be live streaming salt-baked Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's New Year's Eve, and today I'm going to visit the ancestors' graves. I wish everyone a happy new year. End of this chapter. Chapter 190. Sitting in the center of the earth and watching the sunrise and sunset. The beach barbecue had come to an end. Professor Erskine packed up and returned to Karazhan. After experiencing the prehistoric world and tasting the Titan python, he decided to pack and mail the grilled Titan python meat. To ensure the DNA inside was destroyed, he took measures to prevent any scientific research from extracting DNA samples. Even if someone had the intention, they would find it impossible to use it for anything other than eating. Everyone's temporary home was still in the water curtain cave of Atlanta. The sound of the Tao Tao waterfall and the stream flowing beneath them created a cool and serene atmosphere. Duke's room was built in the shape of an Eskimo mound. If not told otherwise, one might mistake it for a pile of graves. Fortunately, there were no Orientals around to make such a comparison. Duke's mound was the closest to the waterfall, but due to sound insulation, the noise of the rushing water was minimized to almost inaudible levels. However, the gentle sound of the stream flowing beneath could still be heard, giving the room a sea view feel. Duke had marked out a safe area where he could move freely. Large, ferocious beasts were kept out, and only animals less than 2 meters in length and weighing under 1 ton could enter. Silver Fox. Kara was not a fighter, but her daughter Laura was a stronger warrior than her father, Logan. Laura, a true little dragon, had inherited her father's abilities and a part of the red dragon's power. When her pupils turned into vertical slits, she could summon the power of the dragon, transforming her hands into dragon claws. Although Laura's dragon power wasn't as potent as Logan's, it was more integrated and adaptable. As a result, Young Laura was far stronger than Logan had been at her age. She could easily handle a 2-meter, 1-ton beast, and with her family of 3 together, there was no danger. Although the U.S. team had returned to normal levels, it wasn't difficult for them to take down a 2-meter, 1-ton beast. The weakest seemed to be Peggy Carter, but that wasn't the case. Peggy had been restored to youth by the Red Dragon Potion, which was more powerful than the Super Soldier Serum. Unlike the serum, which worked overnight, the potion's effects were gradual. Peggy's physical potential grew stronger each day, though she was unaware of it. Once the potion reached its full effect, even 5 American teams wouldn't be a match for her. When that time came, Duke wondered if she would still tolerate his flirtations. Where was Duke at this time? He was sitting on a floating island with Diana. Since he was there to accompany the heroine and relax, he couldn't just watch the barbecue live broadcast by himself. "This island is really strange," Diana remarked, stepping on the floating island. It sank instantly, but quickly recovered. "You said, is this really the space in the center of the Earth? Shouldn't the core of the Earth be a lava core?" The entire foundation was a huge island, roughly the size of Cyprus. Countless large and small floating islands were suspended above it, connected by strange tree-like vines. It was no wonder Cameron used porcelain stickers to promote it. Compared to Zhangjiajie, the dark sea in the center of the Earth looked more like the world of Avatar. "God knows where we are." Duke shook his head, still uncertain if this place was truly in the center of the Earth. "Is this place on Earth? Or rather, within the Earth? It should be inside the Earth, possibly underground, but definitely not at the actual core. Duke had checked it out last time. It felt as if a massive hollow mountain range had fallen from the sky, enveloping Cyprus Island. The dark sea seemed endless, and Duke had yet to explore its entirety. One thing was certain, there was no sun here. Duke had never figured out where the light came from, but it seemed to grow brighter as it got darker, signaling the coming of night. Was it similar to Fishman Island in the One Piece world, where sunlight and air were transmitted through enormous trees? He hadn't seen any towering trees like those in One Piece, but the trees here were indeed massive, more like gigantic tree vines. When he flew straight up, he found that a dome of mountains and rocks blocked his way. "The sky seems to be getting dark." Diana looked at her watch curiously and said in surprise, "It's already 18. Could it be that the sunrise and sunset here are the same as on the surface?" "I'm afraid so," Duke nodded with a smile. "Don't ask me the specifics, because I don't understand it either. How about we go to our sea view room to rest?" Diana glared at him fiercely. "Have you forgotten your punishment?" Duke curled his lips. "Count the ball when you come to see brother. Let's see what you say." "Hola, hola, dear. You said that we will build a big house here in the future?" "In the future, we will live here," Duke said, looking forward to it. "Build a big house?" Diana was also a little happy, but quickly shook her head. "No, it feels strange to build a modern villa in this primitive landscape. If we build anything, the water curtain cave we saw earlier isn't bad. If we fix it up, it should be very beautiful." "Okay, then let's remodel that side and live here from now on." "When is the future?" Diana asked. "The future is the future," Duke laughed. Diana frowned slightly, sensing that Duke was hiding something. "Are you hiding something from me?" "Ah, why do you think so? Why do you say?" I said. When will we have a baby? You see, we are almost 100 years old, and Logan already has a baby." Duke quickly changed the subject. "A baby?" Diana's face turned red. Wait until your punishment period is over." "Punishment period? Hey," Duke sighed deeply. "It's been a year, so hard." He wasn't intentionally changing the subject. He genuinely wanted to have a child. He and Diana had been together for 100 years and were deeply in love, but the heroine's loneliness had remained silent. At first, he doubted whether he was like other time-traveling protagonists, affected by space energy and unable to have offspring. It was a little sad. It wasn't until one day that he discovered the truth. Diana had been secretly using some form of contraception. This hurt, really hurt. At one time, he thought that Diana didn't want to have a child with him, but he never found the right moment to discuss it. This time, he tested the waters and found that Diana seemed to have no intention of resisting. It seemed she was willing to have a baby too. What was the reason for her previous actions? End of this chapter. Chapter 191, Homesick. Coming to the Dark Sea was also for the Chinese New Year. Well, not exactly Chinese New Year, but New Year's Day. A week later, we returned to Karazhan. Barbecued Titan python meat, salt-baked Tyrannosaurus rex meat, charcoal-fired Fengshen pterosaur meat, and stewed rhinoceros meat were sent out one after another as New Year gifts. Of course, there were also friends from China, who had already been sent to the sanctuary of Shangdao with a request to deliver them to Guyi. As for other places that were too far away, apologies, but they would have to wait a few days. Duke didn't have time to run the deliveries himself. However, after being completely frozen, the meat could be delivered by express delivery and would remain fresh for up to a month. Perhaps it was the atmosphere of the new year. After returning to Karazhan, Diana broke her precepts and secretly visited Duke under the cover of night. The punishment, or anything of the sort, just fell through. On the boat, Duke put his arms around the fragrant Wonder Woman and asked, "Are you still on contraception?" "How do you know?" Diana asked in surprise. "I'm not blind." Duke was silent for a while, then asked, "It won't do any harm to your body, right?" "It's definitely harmful to normal people, but it's not a big problem for us." "Is it harmful to you too?" Duke asked, concerned. Diana was silent for a while. "It's not a big problem." "Don't do this again," Duke said, tightening his grip on Diana's round shoulders. "Then remember to pull out later," Diana replied. Duke was a little embarrassed. He couldn't remember to do that when he was happy. His brain was already empty. "Then why did you do that? Don't you want to give me a child? We've known each other for almost 100 years. Diana lowered her head and remained silent. "I just feel like something is missing." "What's missing? Is it a marriage certificate?" Diana didn't speak. "If you want, we can go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow." Diana still didn't speak, and it took a while before she said, "What about Mara?" As expected of a strong woman, she still remembered her husband's concubine at this time. Diana, you know, with our current status, you can have as many marriage certificates as you want, and all of them are valid and can be found online. So, in my opinion, this doesn't have much meaning, and I have never thought about it. Since you think about it, then tomorrow we... Indeed, with Duke's current strength, it is possible to have as many marriage certificates as he wants, and they can all be found on the U.S. website. So this has no practical value, and he has never applied for registration. Now it seems that he has indeed neglected that even if it is meaningless things between male and female friends, they still have to be done. You said it was meaningless, and I would do that kind of thing again? Diana shook her head, interrupting Duke's words. Well, sure enough, the heroine is not an ordinary girl, and she cannot be treated in the same way as an ordinary girl. It's missing a sense of ritual, Diana sighed. You mean the wedding, right? Duke finally understood. The wedding is still meaningful, and every woman hopes to have a grand wedding. The big Greek wedding. Coincidentally, the heroine is there. More than that, there is also my mother's blessing, and the applause of the people, Diana said. This is homesickness. Duke kissed the heroine's forehead and said, Whenever you want to go back, just let me know. I don't think your Queen of the Amazons will look down on me as a son-in-law, right? Diana stretched out her hand and scratched down. What do you call us Queen of the Amazons? You should also call her mother. Yes, mother, mother. Anyone whose vitals are caught in their hands will succumb. I'm having a hard time. America 1549. If landing on runway 13 is acceptable? It can't be done. We might crash land on the Hudson River. I'm the captain, ready for emergency collision avoidance pose. Aichin. On your right is. It can't be done. We're going to try to ditch the plane. Hudson River. X-Men Academy. Mr. President, yes, I have seen ABC's live coverage. Does Mr. President want us to assist? We may not be able to do it. It depends on the captain's control. If the plane crash lands safely on the Hudson River, we can attempt a rescue. Okay, I will contact Karazhan. After hanging up the phone, Ruiwin quickly dialed Karazhan. Duke, there's an airplane going down over the Hudson. Can you... Hudson? Yes, can you go check it out? Okay, I'll take a look. Duke glanced at the time. January 2009? No way. Could it be Captain Sully? Has there been an airplane accident? Yes, I have to go and see. Duke hurriedly put on his clothes, finishing in seconds. He vaguely remembered seeing a movie about such an air crash. As for the time, it seemed to be in '09. He teleported over the Hudson River. At this moment, a white plane was rapidly descending. Instead of seeing Duke appear, Raven saw a steel lobster on TV. That's right, it was the steel lobster, Tony Stark in his completed Mk3 suit. What's that? Rewen stood up immediately. Is it another Cybertron robot? Beast Hank was also curious. No, Cybertron's robots are real machines, and this looks more like a mech. Rewen guessed. Ah, I see. Isn't that Iron Man? Hank clapped his hands suddenly. Not long ago, Tony Stark admitted at a press conference that he is Iron Man. You mean that? Rewen also remembered. It wasn't that she had a bad memory, but there were very few clear images on the internet, mostly blurred pictures that flashed by quickly. And since the Los Angeles incident didn't happen and the Iron Overlord was directly ousted from Stark Industries, not many people knew about the steel lobster. Rewen failed to recognize it at first. Indeed, Tony Stark was practicing flying when he suddenly saw a passenger plane descending from the sky. Jarvis, analyze it for me. Sorry, sir, you can't lift that passenger plane. What about using full thrust? Sir, the power design of the Mk3 armor is not meant for this. Even with full thrust, it can only slow down the plane's descent. That's enough. I'm Iron Man, aren't I? Tony Stark turned around and flew towards the plane. Co-pilot Jeff caught a glimpse of a red shadow from the corner of his eye, turned his head and shouted, "What is that?" A person. Then he felt the plane tremble suddenly, and the descent seemed to slow down a bit. What happened? Captain Sully was taken aback. It's Iron Man Tony Stark. He's underneath us? Jeff said, still in shock. You mean he's supporting us from below? Sully was also stunned. I'm afraid so. Happy New Year to everyone. May the students' grades improve, the candidates get into good universities, the workers receive salary increases and promotions, and business orders come one after another. End of this chapter. Chapter 192, The Hero in the Sky. Jeff was an aviation enthusiast. He had studied Iron Man's flying device extensively. Although he had never seen a high-resolution image of it, he recognized it instantly. Is it really Captain Sully? He wondered aloud. Flight 1549 had taken off from LaGuardia Airport in New York, but about a minute after takeoff, both engines struck birds and lost power. The airport instructed Flight 1549 to turn back immediately, but Captain Sully realized he couldn't make it back to the airport. He then planned to divert the plane to Teterboro Airport in New Jersey for an emergency landing. However, he soon found that the altitude and rate of descent of the plane made it impossible to land safely at Teterboro. Therefore, Captain Sully decided to avoid densely populated areas and took the risk of making an emergency landing on the Hudson River. In the end, all 155 passengers and crew survived, and Captain Sully became a national hero. But now, this hero seemed unreachable. Duke smiled. It's Dharma God Duke. It's Dharma God Duke. We are saved. We won't die. Ah, thank you, Lord Duke. I haven't even eaten the stewed rhinoceros meat that Lord Duke sent me by mail. I can't die now. Woo! A passenger spotted Duke standing in the air outside, and their tense hearts immediately relaxed. Joy spread throughout the plane. Finally, they wouldn't die. Some people cried, and others hugged each other tightly. Unfortunately, no one noticed when Tony Stark flew over, except for the two captains. While the plane's descent seemed to slow down a bit, it wasn't felt by those sitting inside. Instead, they felt a more severe jolt and thought they had hit the water. When they looked up, they were still in the sky. Duke waved at Sully and flew down. Below, Jarvis was trying to persuade Tony. Sir, if you continue like this, I'm afraid your propulsion device will be unable to withstand it. Operational rate. Sir, the plane will hit the water at a speed of 20 meters per second, but you will definitely fall first. Can it last? Duke asked Tony Stark with a smile. Grandpa is here. I can't hold it anymore, Tony admitted reluctantly. He decided to step back because his intervention could cause the captain to lose the most basic judgment. If he couldn't hold on and fell, the plane might crash into the Hudson River. Originally, the captain might have made an emergency landing on the river with his rich experience. If Tony interrupted, he might have caused more harm than good. Then replace me, Duke said. raising his hand to lift the Airbus A320-214. Tony Stark suddenly felt the pressure drop. As a result, the passengers on the plane suddenly realized they had stopped in midair. This feeling was magical. Then they noticed the plane was turning around slowly and flying towards the northeast, LaGuardia Airport. The people on the plane felt strange, but those on the ground were even more shocked. A person was actually flying away holding the plane with one hand. Flying to LaGuardia Airport, this was too incredible. Although they knew it was Duke, the god of law, and it was just a minor feat for him, they couldn't help but be amazed. In the end, the plane landed smoothly at LaGuardia Airport, and the crew and passengers were unharmed. Duke did not wait for the cheers of the passengers. He leveled the plane and flew away again because he had received a message. "Miss Fox is looking for me?" "Yes, you're Miss Fox." Diana snorted and hung up the phone. Mara was barely at peace, but sparks could erupt at any moment. There was also an apprentice, Jennifer, who might jump out and confess at any time. This situation was not settled yet, and now wildflowers from outside had found their way to the door. It was simply provoking her dignity as the big wife. "Miss Fox?" Duke frowned. "Michaela, how did she come?" Since the end of Transformers 07, he hadn't contacted Miss Fox. In the summer of 2008, she appeared once and informed him that she had been admitted to New York University. You? Really? It seemed unbelievable, considering Miss Fox's reputation as a poor student. In Transformers 2, she didn't even attend college. After high school, she went straight to work in her father's garage. But who would have thought Miss Fox would surprise everyone? Although she barely managed to pass, she chose a less popular major. Well, not exactly unpopular, but not particularly favored by young people either. The archaeology department often struggles to recruit enough students. In China, a country rich with ancient tombs, archaeology still has trouble attracting students. So, in the United States, a country with a relatively short history, it's even harder. Archaeology of Indian history? And let's not forget, this is the Marvel universe, where archaeology students are even rarer. Thus, she was successfully admitted to New York University. With her scores, it was impossible to apply for other majors. The archaeology department, which was desperate for students, was her best hope, and the tuition was lower. Out of the 30 available spots in the 2008 session, only 12 were filled. Consequently, Miss Fox became the class beauty and the department beauty of the archaeology department. She even became a contender for the title of school beauty. After moving to New York last year, Duke met her once, encouraged her, and invited her to dinner. He hadn't seen her since. He never expected Miss Fox to improve so dramatically, with her scores soaring by 200 points in just 1 year. It goes to show that having a goal can truly be motivating. Unfortunately, Duke wasn't interested in her. With his current status, even if he wanted to date, he was aiming for a true goddess level, not just a pretty face. Like Gay Shaolin's ambition to chase 10 school beauties. Forget it. The school beauty couldn't keep up with his level. Wait a minute. Duke suddenly stopped midair. It's 2009. Could it be Transformers 2 is about to happen? Could it be the Fallen King's attack? This was serious trouble. He needed to deal with it promptly. After flying for a while, Duke stopped again. Isn't it? Even if Transformers 2 is really happening, shouldn't Miss Fox be the one to inform me? He decided to check it out anyway. Miss Fox didn't go to Karazhan. She was smart. If she had, she would have been lost in the forest. She called Samir directly. Duke had given her his number. After all, she was a familiar face, and in case of an emergency, she could provide some assistance. So he had given her Samir's phone number. End of this chapter. Chapter 193. The Changed Transformers 2 Inside Karazhan. The atmosphere was tense. Diana sat across from Miss Fox, an odd tension hanging in the air. The people around them kept their distance, sensing the awkwardness and choosing to tread carefully. They could leave, but Duke couldn't, so he approached them bravely. It felt like a mistress confronting the original partner. Miss Fox was indeed intimidating. "Crack! What happened to you?" Duke asked, noticing Tony Stark appearing behind him. Duke's mood darkened. "Nima, are you here just to watch the drama?" "Ah! Don't mind me. Just pretend I didn't show up. Carry on, Tony said, his expression one of amusement. Duke really wanted to kick him to the Arctic Ocean to cool off. Tony was clearly here for the spectacle. "By the way, how did you get in here?" Duke asked, his tone unfriendly. He didn't recall giving Tony Stark permission to enter Karazhan. "I gave Tony the permission. After all, I am his grandmother. Do you have any objections?" Diana interjected, her eyes kind but firm. "Ahem, of course not," Duke replied, a bit embarrassed. He decided to change the subject. Michaela, do you have urgent business with me?" Michaela sighed. The man in front of her seemed afraid of guilt. It was unwise to be jealous, so she decided to focus on business first. "Optimus Prime came to see me." Duke was slightly taken aback. Was Transformers 2 really happening? Tony Stark, who was munching on an apple, was also surprised. Optimus Prime? The Cybertronian mechanical lifeform that inspired him to create the MK mechanical armor? He immediately perked up. "Optimus Prime? Why did he come to you?" Duke asked, curious. Normally, Optimus Prime's direct contact was Major William. After the events of Transformers 1, many things had changed, but some remained the same. Sector 7 was still shut down by the government, and the loyal Simmons was still fired, now running a pork sausage shop. A unit known as Nest replaced Sector 7, with Major William still in charge of working with the Autobots to prevent the Decepticons from wreaking havoc on Earth again. The current short-sighted national security advisor to the U.S. government had not yet appeared, but it seemed inevitable. Although Duke was responsible for taking care of the Allspark after the four-party peace talks, he wasn't directly involved in the Transformers matters. Major William was still the primary contact for Optimus Prime. Duke's role was to safeguard the Allspark. The biggest change was that the original protagonist, Sam, was gone. Duke had removed Sam from the Transformers series and blocked his memory. Optimus Prime had witnessed this, and Sam did not participate in the Battle of Los Angeles. Sam's role was limited to obtaining the glasses, after which he could go home and rest. In the original plot, Sam held up the Allspark and killed Megatron, transferring the Allspark's energy to his brain. In Transformers 2, Megatron's minions sought to extract that energy from Sam's brain. But now, since Duke had killed Megatron and the Allspark wasn't destroyed, Sam wasn't involved in the final battle, and the energy wasn't transferred to his brain. Sam had completely exited the Transformers series. If Transformers 2 was indeed happening, if the Fallen Kings strike, Sam will not be found again. The most important thing is that the spark is not in the hands of the U.S. government, but is stored in Duke's treasure house. This ensures there will be no incident of it being stolen, and Megatron being resurrected. After the U.S. government security advisor expressed distrust in the Transformers, Optimus Prime went to Sam for help. But now, Sam is offline. Who would have thought they would actually find Miss Fox? This is a bit strange. He told me Megatron is back. Miss Fox's words were shocking and unexpected. What? Duke was stunned. I just scanned it, and I'm sure the spark is still in the treasure house. It hasn't been lost. In the original plot, Megatron was resurrected through stolen arc fragments. However, now that the spark is undamaged and safely stored in his treasury, how did he come back to life without its energy? It should be true. Optimus Prime wouldn't use this kind of thing to deceive me, right? Michaela was unusually firm. Then why did he find you? Duke was very curious. Although he did not participate in the Transformers operation, Optimus Prime still had his contact information, but would not reach out under non-essential circumstances. I don't know about that. Michaela shook her head. Duke pondered for a while. According to Michaela, Megatron is indeed alive. It doesn't seem very strange. The Fallen King also mentioned that energy blocks are just a storage method for the spark. They have been on this Earth for a long time, and it is very possible that there is more than one energy block or other spark fragments left in history. Forget it. Megatron might have survived anyway. Diana also frowned. We just received news that the submarines, aircraft carriers, and other vessels patrolling that sea area all suffered devastating blows. Judging from the intercepted fragments, the shadow really looks like Megatron. Megatron being alive may be a small thing for them, but for millions of ordinary people, it could be a disaster. A doomsday. Countless families could be torn apart. The Decepticon threat must be dealt with once and for all. At this time, Diana couldn't care less about being jealous or about Miss Fox. In fact, she could see that Duke had no interest in Miss Fox, but simply had some feelings for her face. Maybe she resembled someone he knew before? Same face shape. With Duke's current level, if he wanted to pursue a real goddess, he wouldn't go after a celebrity face. Just like Jie Shaolin, who wanted to chase 10 school beauties this year. Nonsense. They've all become gods. Why would you still chase school belles when you could pursue real goddesses? What did Optimus Prime tell you? Duke asked. He asked me to tell you to be careful of the Decepticons' attack on you, Michaela said. Huh? Ha ha ha. This. Before Duke could speak, the guys around him interrupted. Michaela. Okay, Miss Michaela, did you make a mistake? Those iron shells dare to trouble Karazhan? I can guarantee that if they come, they will meet their end. What do you think Karazhan is? A place you can just walk into. Michaela was a little confused. Isn't a pair a pair? This math must have been taught by the physical education teacher. No, Samir had never been to a serious school at all. End of this chapter. Half chapter 194, The Duke's Backhand. I know you are very powerful, but what if missiles and the like come in? Michaela asked, her voice tinged with concern. Missiles. You underestimate Karazhan. I can guarantee that no missile can penetrate its defenses, Jennifer replied, clearly irritated. She felt that Michaela didn't fully understand the capabilities of Karazhan. But, Michaela began, feeling misunderstood and wanting to explain further. Duke interrupted her. Okay, Michaela, I understand your concerns. From now until Megatron is dealt with, you will stay in Karazhan. Jennifer, please arrange a room for her. You're lucky. Follow me, Jennifer said coldly, clearly displeased. She was more upset with Michaela than she had ever been with Mrs. Diana. Jennifer had her own aspirations of transitioning from an apprentice to a teacher's wife, and now it seemed like Michaela was getting in the way before she even had a chance to start. Michaela hesitated for a moment, but then followed Jennifer. She felt a small sense of relief, thinking that Duke might have some special feelings for her. Meanwhile, Diana couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. Duke, feeling guilty, looked away. He had no romantic interest in Miss Fox and knew that she wouldn't be in any real danger outside. The Decepticons were after the Allspark, not someone like Miss Fox. However, he couldn't shake off a sense of unease, mainly because he was too empathetic. It seems like there will be another big fight, Duke sighed. He knew the world was unstable, but he hadn't expected it to be this chaotic, with conflicts arising so frequently. He couldn't even begin to imagine what other threats might emerge in the future. The most excited among them was Tony Stark. I missed out last time. I can't fall behind this time. I want those robots to understand that Earth is formidable too. Earth's warframe versus alien robots. Who would come out on top? No one could say for sure. Cybertron's robots seemed resilient, but would explode after taking a few hits, making them seem more fragile than they appeared. Where do we fight? Duke asked, feeling exasperated by Tony's eagerness for battle. Anyway, they won't dare to come to Karazhan. I suspect the fight will be at the pyramid, Duke replied. Pyramid? Tony Stark was curious. Why there all of a sudden? I just scanned the information on Earth. The fallen King Kong is a very ancient robot, one of the first 13 Transformers created by the creator god of Cybertron, Yuanshi Tianzun. He later betrayed Yuanshi Tianzun and conspired with his evil twin brother, Universal Emperor, which led to his exile, Duke explained. Tony Stark was stunned. Scanning Earth's information? That sounds so advanced. But why would scanning Earth reveal alien intelligence? When humans were still primitive, the Transformers came to Earth, plundering the energy of stars for their own use, Duke continued. Stars? Tony Stark's eyes widened. Are you saying they want to mess with the sun? Unfortunately, yes. They not only want to mess with the sun, but they also want to blow it up, Duke said. Fack! A bunch of perverts! Tony Stark exclaimed. The original concept of the fallen King Kong and his brothers was to never attack planets with intelligent life. However, the fallen King Kong betrayed this idea. To protect the Matrix, the remaining brothers sacrificed themselves to seal it. Now, the fallen King Kong has returned to retrieve the Matrix and activate the cannon in the pyramid to explode the sun, Duke explained. Diana couldn't help but feel that the whole situation sounded bizarre. Wait, who is the fallen King Kong? Tony Stark asked, realizing that Duke hadn't yet identified this character. He's Megatron's master, With Megatron's resurrection, Duke began, but his voice trailed off, leaving the rest unsaid. Duke said, according to Cybertron's statement, only the leader can kill the fallen King Kong, and now, the only leader is Optimus Prime. Diana was curious. Really? Of course, it's fake. That's how it is on their planet, Cybertron, but here on Earth... Hehe, my dear, you could cut off the mechanical head of that girl with one sword, Duke replied. So, are we going to find the Matrix now? What exactly is the Matrix? Tony Stark asked. It's the core power device of the cannon, Duke explained, shaking his head. The Matrix was sealed by the original leader of the Transformers with his life, so I don't know where it is. But I do know of a place where there might be some old relics that have the information we need. An old relic waiting to die in the Bogu Museum, Tianhuo. But we don't need that Matrix. I know where the fallen King Kong is, but it seems too boring to kill it so easily, Duke said, shaking his head again. Tony, if you want, go scan the pyramids and see if there are any anomalies. He didn't remember the plot of Transformers 2 very clearly, especially the chaotic part involving the dagger point. He could only recall a general outline of the story. But it didn't matter. He could closely monitor the Earth. As soon as Megatron appeared, he would know. He was just worried that the fallen King Kong might be too scared to show up, which would force him to take a more direct approach. Leave it to me, Tony Stark said, turning to leave Karazhan and returning to his own domain, the Stark Industrial Building. Howard was a little worried. Boss, Howard, you can't stop Tony's future. Just watch quietly, Duke said, smiling as he patted Howard on the shoulder. Hey, Howard sighed. I've lived 2 lifetimes, and I've taken everything lightly, but this bastard, he actually ignored my words? Howard was referring to his wish for a grandson within a year. Are you sure they will definitely go to the Pyramid Kingdom? Diana asked. Hey, it would be better if they came to my territory. It would save us the trouble of running around, Duke said, curling his lips. But we can't let our family suffer. We have to let Optimus Prime do his best. Oh, by the way, because of Sam's absence, Bumblebee is no longer his bodyguard. End of this chapter. Chapter 195. Is this infighting? Starscream, I'm back! Master Megatron, I am relieved to see you back. You actually left me stranded on that planet? Megatron's fury was palpable as he landed a powerful punch on Starscream. What he despised most wasn't failure. Failures could be rectified. What he loathed was betrayal. If he had more soldiers at his disposal, he would have torn Starscream apart and scattered his remains across the universe. I was busy taking care of the newborn eggs and strengthening our team. This is also what Mr. Fallen King Kong wanted. With you gone, someone had to take charge, right? Starscream smiled obsequiously. This time, Megatron's rage boiled over. He kicked Starscream, sending him flying, then grabbed his neck and slammed him against the newborn eggs. You have disappointed me too much. Be careful with those eggs. They are fragile, Starscream said, unfazed. He didn't believe Megatron would dare kill him, especially given the current lack of combat strength. Moreover, he felt secure with the support of the fallen King Kong. Replacing Megatron seemed only a matter of time. Despite Megatron being the disciple of the fallen King Kong, his repeated failures had likely eroded the Master's trust. This was the perfect opportunity to usurp him. You think I'm dead and you can replace me? Give orders? Get lost. With a violent wave of his hand, Megatron hurled Starscream into the air and strode towards the cabin. Starscream landed on the ground with a sneer. Your era is over. You always wanted me to be cannon fodder. Humph. Earth is too dangerous. I want to return to the safety of our home planet. Going back there is suicide. The human who appeared a year ago was terrifying, and he tore me apart with ease. Not an opponent at all. And now you still want to go to Earth to die? Ridiculous. No. It seems it's time for me to find a way out for myself, Starscream muttered to himself. Inside the cabin, fallen King Kong was resting, or rather, recuperating. Although the wounds from his brother's betrayal had healed, he still felt weak. Master, I have let you down. I failed to bring back the fire. Megatron knelt and confessed. You still have much to learn, my apprentice. For 1,000 years I have yearned to return to Earth, the place of my heartbreak. There, I was betrayed by other super leaders who were as close as brothers. Now, only one super leader can defeat me, fallen King Kong said. Master, I must tell you something else. The human who killed me is incredibly powerful, Megatron said, implying that it didn't take a super leader to defeat him. My apprentice, this is not like you. Fallen King Kong turned his head and glanced at him. Have you become cowardly after your resurrection? No, of course not. Cowardice and wretchedness are not in my vocabulary. Then go and retrieve the fire, Fallen King Kong commanded. Perhaps we can cooperate with humans or find some other enemies of Earth, Megatron suggested. He was genuinely afraid. That human was too powerful. He felt that as soon as he appeared, he would be attacked. The risk outweighed the benefits. He couldn't go to Earth personally for the time being. He needed to send someone else. At that moment, Starscream entered, holding the dead newborn eggs and sighing, "These guys die too easily. Without energy, these eggs can't survive." Megatron sneered internally. "Starscream, go to Earth for me." Me? Starscream was stunned. He had come in intending to urge the fallen King Kong to cause trouble for Megatron. Look at you, you failed to get the fire seed. Without energy, these newborn eggs will die. He wanted to remind the fallen King Kong that when Megatron goes to the... I didn't expect this. This is the rhythm I want to wrap myself in. Yes, it's you. I need you to activate the traitor who has been staying in the human world. At the same time, find an organization called S-Shield. They will assist us, Megatron commanded. What? S-Shield? Master Megatron, are you kidding me? S-Shield was involved in the Los Angeles battle last time, killing many of us, Starscream shouted loudly. Master Fallen King Kong, look, he is already in a daze. Let him step aside quickly. Megatron, unaware of Starscream's thoughts of betrayal, said coldly, Go find someone named Alexander Pierce. He is a traitor in S-Shield. I believe we have a common enemy. Karazhan? Starscream asked. That's right. Karazhan is his darling. We may be able to contact them and hand over the enemies of mankind to humans, Megatron explained. Starscream smiled humbly. Master Megatron, excuse me, but why don't you go there yourself? Oh, I didn't mean that, but, you know, the Decepticons lurking in the human world won't obey my orders. If the task goes wrong, I will. That guy may have aimed at me, and he will spot me as soon as I show up. I need someone who can distract him. That's right, that person is you, Starscream. And I have a more important task to attend to. Why, are you not following my order? Megatron sneered. No, of course not. It's just, what is my specific task? Seeing that there was nothing he could do, Starscream stepped back, humbly showing a flattering smile, and asked with a bow. Contact S-Shield. I need them to attack Karazhan and free us up. Our goal is the pyramid. Tell them our people will assist them in killing Karazhan, Megatron said. Okay, then I'll leave now. Saying that, Starscream turned and left. But in his heart, he was fuming. Gay Lousy is using me as cannon fodder again. Does he really think I can't see it? Also, this Alexander Pierce guy, who can sneak into S-Shield undetected, is obviously a smart guy. Will he help us? This task is clearly impossible. Master, what do you think of Starscream? Megatron asked. Big heart, but lacks ability, Fallen King Kong snorted coldly. Heh? So, what about my mission? Megatron inquired. Get the fire seed, and then activate the device in the pyramid. This will blow up the sun, and the energy will belong to us. Without the sun, they will be nothing, Fallen King Kong said. Megatron had a sad look on his face, but in the end, he still wanted to play with fire, to find Karazhan's bad luck. End of this chapter. Nashur, Chapter 196, Logan's Championship Requirements. Megatron is not as timid as Starscream. Although he feels fear, he never lets it control him. He lives for war and is prepared to die for it. A born fighter. Tony Stark is indeed a genius. As the most powerful brain on Earth, after a day of deliberation and research, he finally made a breakthrough. Numerous rune characters were deciphered, leading to the conclusion that the Uedan Petra Mountains were the location indicated by the information in the tinder. Specifically, it pointed to the Matrix being there. Petra Mountains? Duke mused. He vaguely remembered seeing the temple in Transformers 2. It should be the Temple of Petra. In the original plot, Sam and others searched for the Matrix, only to find that it had weathered into stars and sand after thousands of years. In reality, it wasn't just the passage of time. The Matrix's condition was a final protection by the super leaders to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. It was the ultimate test. Without Sam's spirit of sacrifice, the Matrix might never have been reassembled, and Optimus Prime would not have been resurrected. The sun would have exploded, and Earth would have been destroyed. The super leaders were willing to risk the planet's destruction to keep the Matrix safe. Without the Matrix, the fallen King Kong would not be able to activate the device to explode the sun. The super leaders were willing to sacrifice Optimus Prime, their only descendant super leader, and countless lives on Earth to prevent the Matrix from falling into the wrong hands. "Are you sure it's the Udon Petra Mountains?" Duke asked. "Absolutely. After repeated deciphering, I concluded that it is indeed the Temple of Petra in Udon," Tony Stark confirmed. "Good. Let's go, Tony. Go get the Matrix," Duke said. "And then?" Tony inquired. "Then I'll give it to you. You can handle it yourself," Duke laughed. "Me?" Tony Stark was taken aback. This iron-fisted man who never gives anything away was being so generous today? Was this real or a trick? Duke patted Tony Stark on the shoulder kindly and smiled. "Don't you always say that I'm unkind? Today, I'm telling you, Tinder can't be studied by you. It's someone else's, and I'm just storing and taking care of it. But you can take the Matrix for research and even use it on your armor." "If you were a woman, I would definitely call you sister," Tony Stark said seriously after a moment of silence. Crack, a light tap on the head. "Stinky boy, what nonsense are you talking about? If I were a woman, you would have to call me grandmother." Crack, another light tap. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Tony Stark laughed. "Howard said it was a wish, but can I tell you, okay?" "Laugh all you want. Now get out of here," Duke said, raising his eyes and staring. Tony flew away in a hurry. "Always be on the lookout for Decepticons that may appear," Duke ordered. "Just remember to call me if you can't handle it." Tony Stark, with his arrogance, would never call for help unless absolutely necessary. He would persist, unwilling to lose face. "Are you really going to give the Matrix to Tony?" Howard asked, worried. "Why? Are you worried he can't control his desires?" Diana laughed. "After all, it's a power key for a device that can blow up the sun. It's not something to take lightly," Howard sighed. He didn't want his son to become a villain in the future. "Don't worry, I'll help you keep an eye on him. Tony isn't bad by nature, he's just a bit reckless. You can see that from his decision to shut down Stark Industries' weapons division," Duke comforted. "You don't say. I'm still angry. That bastard gave away my hard work," Howard fumed. He had personally decided on this deal, but his son had personally. After his death, he denied it. Does he want to lose face? Then I saw Diana's murderous expression, and my heart skipped a beat. Ahem. Aunt Diana, hold on. That's right. Tony did a good job. Very right. I was wrong. A long time ago, Diana had persuaded him to forbid this business, but he didn't take it seriously. Later, Diana stopped caring, since as the eldest nephew, it wasn't easy to force him to change. Duke smiled and comforted her. "Okay, the times make heroes, and each era has its own rules. In that chaotic era, if you didn't do this business, someone else would have. Times change, and we must adapt, not rebel." "Humph," Diana snorted arrogantly. In fact, she knew this very well. Even if Howard didn't do this business, someone else would. To put it simply, Howard still had basic morals. If it were someone else, the situation might have been worse. At that time, she might really have had to use force to stop it. "Duke." Just then, Logan walked over. Now there were only a few people named Duke, Diana, Carlos, Mara, and Logan. Oh yes, and Donkey Kong. Logan was an old buddy and a friend, and Victor was afraid to call him by his name. "Oh, Logan. I was thinking, can the reward be given to me?" "Reward? Oh, you mean the live broadcast?" Duke was still in a daze for a moment before he realized. "Sorry, I've been a little busy these days. Why, have you figured it out?" "Well, I think she can accompany me for the rest of my life," Logan said, referring to his wife Silver Fox Kara. Duke glanced at Diana from the corner of his eye, then grabbed Logan and left. "This guy is talking nonsense behind my back again," Diana snorted angrily and turned to leave. Needless to say, she could guess what Duke wanted to say. "In a certain tavern in Hell's Kitchen." "Logan, have you really thought about it?" "Yes." Duke took a sip of his wine, feeling depressed. "I really didn't see it. You are so infatuated. I originally thought, after Kara passed away, or after you got old, you would find someone else. This way, we would have a companion, and Diana wouldn't keep chasing after me. Are you really not a buddy enough to kick me off the plane on the way to fight together? Ha, we have never fought together. I'm a little hurt by what you said, Duke pretended to be sad. Okay, kidding aside, I think. Logan, don't you want to change your face? Go home and face a woman all day so you won't be bothered? And what about you and Diana? So I went to Mara. I'll tell Diana about that, Logan laughed. Duke also laughed it off. He didn't believe it. Logan was not a talkative person. Wild game pneumonia is here. It is so scary. I wish the brothers of that generation in Wuhan, Hubei, resist it. Also, eat less game. Thousands of years of evolution in the ancestors have screened out what can be eaten and what can't be eaten. Don't be greedy for a moment of enjoyment and harm yourself for a lifetime. Don't even think about the kind of bat sashimi. Ebola in Africa is a virus carried by bats. How dare you eat bats? Nonsense. End of this chapter. Chapter 197. Without hesitation, she will. I think she can stay with me until I die, Logan said. Duke sighed. That means living forever. Based on Logan's self-healing factor, his lifespan is essentially unlimited. He can live forever. In Wolverine 3, Logan lost his self-healing factor and gradually aged. His body became covered with countless scars that could no longer heal instantly. Eventually, his claws couldn't extend properly, and even when they did, they were rusty and unable to pierce effectively, leading him to his death. Little Laura stepped forward in place of Uncle Wolf. Uncle Wolf's decline wasn't due to the natural aging process we commonly understand. Despite his strong self-healing ability, which allowed some cells to regenerate faster than they aged, he couldn't escape the natural law. It wasn't the nuclear explosion's side effects that affected his body. It was the Edmund metal poisoning him. Decades of accumulation had reduced his self-healing factors, eventually depleting them. Additionally, genetically modified food specifically targeted the X gene. Wolverine 3 is set in 2029. Before that, Wolverine went back in time to prevent the development of Sentinel robots. When he returned to the future, he found that mutants hadn't been wiped out by the Sentinels, and everything seemed fine. However, the future is irreversible, and what should happen will still happen. Although the development of Sentinel robots was halted, human scientists in this new future developed a more effective way to combat mutants. In this future, an anti-mutant organization within the world government successfully developed genetically modified food and spread it worldwide. These foods had no effect on humans, but damaged the mutant genes in mutants. This food acted like poison, slowly weakening their abilities. After consuming this food, mutants' offspring would no longer have the ability to mutate. By 2029, very few mutants remained. Uncle Wolf also lost his strong self-healing ability due to the Edmund metal toxin and the influence of genetically modified foods, aging like a normal person until he died of old age. But now, Uncle Wolf hasn't injected Edmund metal, and for the time being, genetically modified food hasn't been created. On the contrary, Uncle Wolf injected ruby crystals, evolving his bones into keel bones and further strengthening his self-healing ability. The Red Dragon, a dragon family that controls vitality, has enhanced his self-healing speed to the point where he can heal from a nuclear explosion, as long as he's not at the center of it. Although Brother Who didn't enhance his vitality to heal himself, the Black Jade Crystal increased his defense and strength. The Black Dragon's vitality is already tenacious, so it can be considered an increase in his vitality. Not only has Uncle Wolf become stronger, but Brother Who has also become stronger. So, under normal circumstances, Logan wouldn't die and would live forever. Do you know how long your lifespan is now? Duke asked. How long? Logan inquired. If nothing happens, you can basically live indefinitely. Of course, the power of the ruby crystal will wear down over time, but it has fused with your DNA. You are no longer just Wolverine. You are King Kong Dragon. Maybe after 800 years or so, the power of the ruby crystal in your body will diminish, but your self-healing ability will still exist. Logan was silent. You are almost 180 years old now. Judging by the present, living 10 times longer is not a problem for you. Given this, do you still want to? Do you really want to go through with the previous plan? Do you understand what it feels like to face a woman for over 1,000 years? Duke asked. Logan hesitated, waving his hand dismissively. At that time, You might regret today's decision. After a few hundred years, even the most loyal love can wear away. How long can a man remain infatuated with a woman's body? How long will it last? Ha ha! When the time comes, will you still love her, or will she still love you? Duke's words hung in the air. Logan was silent for a while, then gulped down his drink. Will she be the same as Diana? He was uncertain, questioning his own intentions. No, Diana can't help it, but Kara is different. She might use her abilities to change your mind. It may work in the short term, but eventually it will become boring. But is that still love? Duke questioned. But would you just watch the woman you love die? Logan asked, his voice tinged with desperation. No, what I worry about is dying before the woman I love. Like that, I would be wearing a green hat on my grave after I die, Duke said with a hint of sarcasm. Logan was speechless. Okay, I'm just kidding. Diana's lifespan is infinitely long. Although Mara's isn't as long as hers, it's still much longer than a human's. It's me who should work hard to ensure they don't outlive me. Of course, that's also a joke, Duke shrugged. Now that he had reached the demigod realm, he was already a member of the Infinite Lifespan Club, with countless ways to extend his life. Logan felt even more frustrated. His wife was human, unlike Duke's goddess wives. Actually, it's useless for you to struggle here. You might as well ask Kara for her opinion, and it's not so easy to make her truly accompany you forever. There are basically 4 points, Duke explained. 4 points? Logan asked, intrigued. The first point is that I will teach her magic. As long as her cultivation reaches a certain level, her lifespan will increase significantly. But there's a drawback. It requires a loyalty of more than 90%, Duke said. Loyalty? What does that mean? Logan asked, recalling a similar concept mentioned during World War I, when Samir was accepted as a registered apprentice. To put it simply, if I let Kara board the boat, she will climb up without hesitation. Do you understand? Duke's words were blunt. Logan spat out his drink, almost choking. Ahem, are you serious? Do you think I'm joking? With 100% loyalty, she would die for you without hesitation. With 90% loyalty, if I wanted her to betray you, she would fall into my arms in an instant, Duke explained, shaking his head. 90% loyalty is not the same as 90% love. If it were, Jennifer and Leon would have already offered themselves. So would you? Logan asked. Of course not, but would you? Duke countered. Logan was left pondering Duke's words as the conversation ended. Chapter 198, The Old Fox versus the Little Fox. Of course not, but would you? Logan was silent for a moment, then shook his head. Of course not. Even though he knew that Kara's appearance was just average, with an 80-point rating, she was far less stunning than Diana or Mara. She was still a woman, and Kara was just an ordinary person with a different status. Sleeping with a princess is the same as sleeping with a star? Not to mention these two true goddesses, even Jennifer. Kara is far behind. If Duke really wanted to rely on this bug to pick up girls, Jennifer would have been wiped out long ago. A tempting green apple, a delicious peach, anyone who sees it wants to take a bite. But that didn't happen. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that Jennifer was still a young girl. Duke smiled and said nothing. Regardless of how deep the brotherhood is, it's not a matter of brothers are like brothers and women are like clothes. The idea of stabbing brothers twice for women is gone. Logan would never do that. It is impossible for anyone to expose their women to this possible danger. God knows whether they will change their tastes or something. Although my wife is not as beautiful as others, who knows if they will become fond of other people's wives? No one can tell. And it's just a matter of one sentence. If you ask someone to kneel down, they will kneel down obediently and won't tell others afterward. Coupled with Duke's ability, even if he is next to him, he can't see it. Not to mention Logan, no one would leave his wife's fate in the hands of others. Logan won't, and Duke won't. The second point is to continue to use the red medicine, Duke said. Forget it. Logan waved his hand. The championship gift of Shenmue Live, that's all. He believes that Duke will give, but as a friend, he will not ask Duke to give. And although some of the red medicine has been diluted, there's not much of it. It is impossible to order dozens of red medicines just because of him. This is impossible. Even if it was possible, Logan would not want it. Brotherly love is understood. The third one is using your DNA to transform it, Duke said. Is this doable? Logan understood that it was nothing more than inserting his X gene into Kara's body, and she could accompany him for a lifetime after she also has the healing factor. In theory, it is feasible, but it will be very difficult, and there will be many chances of failure. To be precise, you may die if you fail, because we don't have too many experiments to do, and there are only 2 of you in this world. Logan, isn't there calculation data? Yes. Data can be simulated, but you have to be clear that data simulation is not absolute. When real people match, any unexpected situation can happen. Logan nodded. He understood this. And transplanting the self-healing factor is not as easy as transplanting organs and bone marrow. But even if Kara dies, it's okay, because she will transform into a soul body. That way, she won't fall. As long as Karazhan still exists for a day, she won't go to hell and can be with you forever, Duke said. This is the Marvel version of the love of ghosts, and the soul body can also be used for other things. It's just that you can't get pregnant, but the basic effect is the same. Well, this is the 4th situation. Logan had a black thread. He had seen Howard, and Howard could indeed meet Tony. But people and ghosts, this? So why don't you ask Kara for her opinion on such matters and see what she thinks? Duke patted Logan on the shoulder. He still didn't want Logan to face a woman in more than 1,000 years. Although these words have the feeling of destroying other people's marriages, but, brother, there are some things that he can't think of, so he has to help him. It's not that if we break up, we really can't get along for 1,000 years, but people's feelings will always change. He didn't want to deal with Logan's relationship issues 100 years from now. Kara is now 50 years old. Under all circumstances, she would have aged into an old woman. However, she still maintains her youthful appearance, thanks to the red medicine. Unlike Peggy Carter, though, she hasn't regained her youthful body functions. Kara is a very sensible woman and understands that it would be unreasonable to keep asking for the red medicine solely because of Logan's relationship with Duke. Therefore, she only takes the medicine to maintain her appearance. This is why Logan made this championship request to Duke. After all, a person in their 50s can't withstand Logan's onslaught. Despite her youthful appearance, Kara's internal functions are already very weak, and their daily activities have decreased significantly. I know, Kara said. No matter what, I will support you. Duke patted Logan on the shoulder and handed him a bottle of red medicine. Take this first. After drinking it, she will be like Carter. Thanks, Duke. We're all brothers. Meanwhile, in New York, in a private club, Boss, a woman suddenly invaded our defense system and said she wanted to discuss cooperation with you, whispered a bald man who looked like a guy named Beast Yi Shaoxing. The boss, Alexander Pierce, was making tea when he heard this and paused slightly. Cracked our defense system? Hey, interesting. Where is she? She said she was downstairs. Alexander Pierce stood up slowly, walked towards the window, and looked down. The woman noticed him and raised her head. She's a beautiful woman. Let her come up. After only one glance, Alexander Pierce retracted his neck and walked back to continue making tea. Soon, the woman came up and, ignoring the agents in black suits around her, went straight to sit down opposite Alexander Pierce. Beautiful lady, may I ask? Is there anything we can cooperate on? Please, Alexander Pierce said, placing a cup of tea in front of her. Sorry, I don't drink tea. Then what do you drink? I have everything here. Do you have engine oil? What? Alexander Pierce frowned slightly. Engine oil? What is she talking about? This, the woman said, sticking out her pink tongue and moving it back and forth. However, this scene was not seductive, but rather creepy. Her tongue had split into 2 halves and then transformed into a mechanical tongue, dripping with engine oil. No wonder she asked for motor oil. The bald agent was terrified and pulled out his gun. Who are you? The other agents in black suits also drew their pistols, clearly frightened. Stop! Alexander Pierce raised his hand abruptly to stop his men's recklessness. If I'm not mistaken, you're a Cybertronian robot, right? Beautiful lady, please retract your tongue. I prefer normal humans. The woman smiled, and the mechanical tongue slowly retracted, turning back into a normal-looking tongue. Now, please explain why you are here. Chapter 199. Do you want to experience the feeling of a robot? Don't be so anxious. We have all day to do anything you want. I'm willing to do anything for you, including. The wheat-colored beauty slightly pursed her lips, looking extremely alluring. Alexander Pierce remained calm, but the bald agent Sitwell was visibly flustered. This beauty was the same one from Transformers 2, who seduced Sam, the stomach-kiss, wheat-colored hottie Alice, who was later killed by Michaela. She was a hermit warrior from the Decepticons, part of an expedition team sent millions of years ago to study Earth and integrate into human society. She looked human, but had the abilities of a transformer. The hermit warrior's mech shell had undergone the most sophisticated refinement, the biological hermit. This meant she could transform into any creature, appearing exactly like a human. This exactly the same included not only the skin and appearance, but also the internal structure. Except for the inability to reproduce with humans, all other functions were identical. After scanning the statue of Alice in Disney Park's Alice in Wonderland attraction, she had taken on her current form, with metal tentacles protruding from the back of her head and mouth. Want to try the taste of a robot? Alice continued to tempt Alexander Pierce. If it had been an ordinary young man, he would have succumbed long ago. But Alexander Pierce was already an old man, and his desires in that regard were mediocre. Although Hydra's technology was advanced, he had never developed an interest in such pleasures. His ambition was to control the world, not to indulge in it. I can guarantee you will experience more supreme enjoyment than with human women. A robot beauty, this is the only one in the world, Alice continued to seduce. The bald-headed agent was visibly struggling, and although the surrounding Hydra agents had undergone rigorous training, some were clearly affected, bowing their waists and looking uncomfortable. No need. I'm not interested in women covered in motor oil, Alexander Pierce said coldly, putting down his teacup. That's right, you're old in that respect. Alice glanced contemptuously at Alexander Pierce's lower half, laughed, and then turned to look at Sitwell. This bald head seems interested. Ahem, just kidding, I'm not interested, Sitwell shivered, covering his mouth and coughing twice, turning his head aside. Robot beauty, this was something he had never experienced before. It was even more intriguing than those advanced technology dolls. Ahem, if the boss weren't here, he might have agreed, just to know what a robot felt like. Humph. Perhaps sensing his thoughts, Alexander Pierce gave his subordinate a hard look. If you continue like this, I will ask you to leave. Humans are really meaningless, Alice sneered. On the contrary, Alexander Pierce laughed angrily. Okay, I really want to know how your Cybertron robots give birth to offspring. Is it the same as humans? The human world is too backward. We have the key to life, Alice sneered. Then, when your robots are like humans, do you also have feelings? Alexander Pierce was very curious. Meeting a robot that could seduce was a new experience, even if he wasn't interested in a beautiful woman who smelled like motor oil. Of course. The mech shell of our hermit fighters has undergone the most sophisticated improvement, the biological hermit. My body is the same as that of a human being, at least in terms of touch, exactly the same. I can simulate the signals from the human side, stimulating my central core to react exactly like human women. Moreover, I am not a technological doll, I am intelligent. With that, Alice got up, leaned out of the tea house, and leaned in front of Alexander Pierce. How about it? Do you want to try? If it weren't for his tenacity, Sitwell might have vomited blood. No need, because your feelings are fake. What should I say? I don't like being with a woman who smells like motor oil, Alexander Pierce sneered. Humans are really boring, Alice replied, unfazed. She had never considered having a relationship with Alexander Pierce, an old man, and she wasn't interested. As a new generation of hermit warriors, she had been on Earth for decades. In some respects, she was still a Hina robot. But Alexander Pierce was right. Although Alice could mimic human emotions through analog signals, she didn't truly feel them. Her emotions were mechanical and electronic simulations, merely catering to others, which made them fake. At best, they had a kind of wisdom more advanced than technological dolls. Let's talk about your purpose. My time is precious, Alexander Pierce said, taking a sip from his teacup with a smile. For some reason, he always felt there was a smell of motor oil in the tea. Alice dropped her seductive expression and spoke solemnly. Okay, I'm here to discuss cooperation with you under the order of my master, Starscream. Wait, Starscream. Alexander Pierce was slightly taken aback. He knew who Starscream was, Megatron's #1 advisor. While not a thug, Starscream was a strategist at best. In ancient times, it would be the position of a military advisor. Although the status was high, Alexander Pierce always believed this robot came under Megatron's orders and never thought it was Starscream. Even though Starscream was the second in command, the level felt instantly lowered. Why not Megatron? Alexander Pierce asked, looking displeased. Master Megatron has more important plans. Why? Is there a problem? Alice responded. After hesitating for a moment, Alexander Pierce decided to listen. Okay, tell me about your purpose. I'll listen. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Alice, and I serve Starscream. My purpose is to cooperate with your S-Shield. No, it should be Hydra, Alice corrected herself. Alexander Pierce's eyebrows twitched. The purpose of our cooperation is to kill Karazhan. Pfft, Alexander Pierce laughed outright. Ha 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 ha! Did I hear you right? Kill Karazhan? You really have a big heart. You know, the Master and Karazhan Duke is an existence that can kill even Superman. Although we Hydra are plotting the whole world, we have to be careful. Why do you Cybertron robots dare to say that? He sneered. If I remember correctly, you have already failed once. This time, are you confident? He asked. Alice remained composed, her mechanical mind calculating the odds. We have new strategies and resources. This time, we are prepared. Alexander Pierce leaned back, considering her words. All right, let's hear your plan. End of this chapter. Chapter 200. Cooperation reached. Karazhan is really difficult to deal with, and I know this very well. What we want is not to destroy Karazhan, but to regain the fire source, Alice said. Alexander Pierce looked indifferent. According to reliable information, the source of the fire is in the hands of Duke. The problem is, where did Duke put the fire source? If he held it himself, it would be the same as attacking Karazhan, and it would be impossible to succeed. Even if it was placed somewhere in Karazhan, it would only reduce the danger slightly. Still, it was not advisable. Of course, as part of our cooperation, we will provide you with Cybertron technology, and we Decepticons will also help you better control this planet. After all, we also want a planet as a habitat, Alice said. Cybertron technology? This piqued Alexander Pierce's interest. He was very clear that Cybertron's technology might involve space wormholes and other advanced concepts. If it could be used effectively, then perhaps they could truly fight back, instead of being suppressed like rats in a hole as they were now. But this was not enough. How can I guarantee that you will not renege on the agreement after everything is settled? Pierce asked. Alice smiled. Mr. Alexander Pierce, do you have any other options? She sneered internally. When everything is completed, your Earth will be long gone, and you are still worried about whether we will renege on the agreement? Humph. Well, cooperation can proceed, but I want to know, what do you want on the planet Cybertron? Alexander Pierce asked. As I said before, our planet Cybertron only needs a place to live. Our Cybertron has been destroyed in the war, and we need a home. Silence. Dead silence. Alexander Pierce did not believe Alice's words, but this did not prevent him from cooperating with the Decepticons. Okay, but I need you to do two things. Please, go ahead. First, I need you to provide enough Cybertron technology. Second, I need you to use a strategy to divert the attention of everyone in Karazhan to other places so that we can easily attack. Otherwise, with our ordinary bodies, there is no way to break into the interior of Karazhan in front of so many experts, Alexander Pierce said. Alice was silent. She also didn't believe Alexander Pierce's words. After a long pause, she nodded and said, We can agree on the first point, but the second point. You have to agree to the second point, otherwise the cooperation will not be established, Alexander Pierce sneered. Alice also smiled. Mr. Alexander Pierce, aren't you worried that we will leak your information? There is a saying in China, I believe it goes, when there are too many lice, it doesn't itch, and debts don't worry. Our S-Shield is already in a lot of trouble, and we don't care if we have one more. Of course, I believe you won't do that. At least, not until this collaboration is done, Alexander Pierce smiled. That's right, it's a good thing I'm the leader of Hydra, Alice smiled. I initially agree, but I need to go back and discuss it with Master Starscream. Yes, but I'm pressed for time, and I hope to get an answer within 3 days, Alexander Pierce said. Then goodbye. Alice smiled, stood up, and left gracefully. Before going out, she turned her head coquettishly and blew a kiss, saying sweetly, "Dear, don't you want to come and taste it? Does it smell like a robot?" Alexander Pierce almost dropped his teacup with a trembling hand. "Giggle." Alice laughed and left. "This damn woman," Alexander Pierce sneered, wiping the tea stains off his body. The bald agent Sitwell also wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Damn it, why does she feel more tempting than the female star goblin I met last week?" Forcibly suppressing the thoughts in his mind, he asked, "Boss, do you believe that woman, that mechanical woman? Hey, do you think I'm a fool?" "Of course not," the bald agent continued to wipe his sweat. "But are we really going to? Facing Karazhan? This is a very rouse endeavor. I don't want others to undermine my reputation. I'm genuinely worried whether we will be up to the mission." "What mission?" Alexander Pierce asked. "Well, it is said that Duke has a special ability to return to Karazhan instantly. If we attack Karazhan by force, what if he comes back directly? We would be completely trapped," the bald agent sighed. "When did I say we were going to storm Karazhan?" Alexander Pierce sneered. "Boss, isn't that what you were thinking?" The bald agent laughed, but quickly became serious. "But what if we are exposed? Do you think I really trust those guys?" Alexander Pierce waved his hand, dismissing all the black-suited agents around him, leaving only the bald agent, Sitwell. "Based on our long-term information, Cybertron's Decepticons are an organization that only knows destruction. Cooperating with them is meaningless. Compared to Decepticons, I prefer to use Transformers." But Sitwell was still worried. "It's nothing. Let's find a group of people to put on a show. They won't agree to the second point. They are using us. We still have time to negotiate," Alexander Pierce said. "Somewhere in the mountains of New York." "Master, I failed. They are very cunning," Alice said, looking frustrated. "Your ability failed as well?" "Yes, my ability to seduce doesn't work on Alexander Pierce. He's not an ordinary person. But it's very effective on his subordinates," Alice explained. "Subordinates?" Starscream twisted his chin and muttered to himself, "Forget it. The 2 requirements he raised can be met with lower demands, and the second point, we can find a way. However, we also need to consider our retreat. Master Starscream, what is the way out? Take refuge in Karazhan." "What?" Alice was shocked. "The Master wanted to betray the Decepticons? I can't see hope in Master Megatron and Lord Fallen King Kong. Last time, Megatron lost to Duke, and he was completely defeated in just a few moves. This time, even with the addition of the Fallen King Kong, what difference will it make? The Karazhan family is not the only one on Earth. We have no advantage here. If we continue, there is no other possibility except death." Alice remained silent. "Alice, how's your humanoid form progressing?" "It's already 80% complete." End of this chapter.